I call the September 30th, 2025 Historic Preservation Board meeting to order. May we start with a roll call?
Peggy Marker.
Present.
Kyle Waters.
Present.
Gabriel Jaroslavsky.
Here.
Kristen Kellogg.
Here.
James Murphy.
Here.
Jeffrey Sheldon.
Here.
Caleb R.W. Locks.
Here.
And let the record reflect that Gerald Buxbaum is not present.
Thank you. Does city staff have any changes to tonight's agenda?
We do. We have a request for item 8.5, 3015 Washington Road. The applicant has requested a deferral to the October 28th meeting. And then we have received a reordering request for item 8.12, 217 Park Place, which is at the end of new business. We accidentally put the applicant at the very front of the agenda and at the very end. So he's requested that item 8.12 be moved to the beginning of new business.
Thank you. Does any board member have a change to tonight's agenda? Seeing none, may we have a motion?
I move the board to approve tonight's agenda with the amendments described by staff.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Are there any changes to the minutes from August 26, 2025 Historic Preservation Board meeting? Seeing none, may we have a motion?
I move the board to approve the meeting minutes from the August 2025.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. All right, now we will have the report from our new historic preservation or our director.
Good evening, Ana Maria Ponte, Development Services Director. Well, tonight I'm pleased to introduce Jordan Hodges, our new City Historic Preservation Planner. Jordan has a bachelor's degree in Fine Arts and Historic Preservation from the Savannah College of Art and Design. He has over 10 years of experience in historic preservation, first as a Senior Preservation Coordinator for the City of Lake Worth, and later as the Design and Preservation Planner for the town of Palm Beach. His most recent job before coming to the city was with the Federal Emergency Management Agency as floodplain management specialist, assisting the state and local partners with flood risk reduction measures for historic preservation. Plenty of experience in historic preservation. We are really excited to have him leading the historic preservation team and working with the board and our community to protect our resources. Welcome, Jordan, and you're gonna have him present several of the cases tonight.
Thank you.
That's all I have for you.
Thank you so much. Welcome, Jordan. We are thrilled to have you and your many, many years of preservation knowledge as well as planning. All right. Jordan, would you like to give any report from the preservation planner at this time, or we can move straight into remarks by the chairperson?
We can move straight into cases.
Absolutely. All right. Now it is time for remarks by the chairperson. The matters before us are quasi-judicial in nature. That means that we make our decision based on competent, substantial evidence that comes before us. We ask that you keep this in mind when making your comments. How this works is that the applicant will make a presentation of up to 10 minutes, 15 if there is a demolition. Afterwards, staff will make a presentation. After staff, we will open it up to public comment. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The applicant may have a short rebuttal after the public speaks. I'd also like to mention that we have a long agenda this evening. With that in mind, and respect for all those who are spending their time here with us this evening, we will be strictly adhering to the time limits as set forth in my opening remarks. Our board secretary will be keeping track of time. And to lead into our meeting this evening, we as board members need to disclose whether we have discussed the cases before us with anyone prior to tonight's meeting. So we will start with a disclosure of ex parte communications.
Well, technically, as to the matter of item 25-58 was removed from the agenda, and my communications were about the property, but not about the application, but I'll just put in the record that I spoke with the applicant about this property. But as to all other agenda items on tonight's agenda, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit, and I have not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
As to all matters on this evening's agenda, I, Jeff Sheldon, have not had ex parte communications, have not received written communications, have not conducted an investigation, have not made a site visit, nor have I received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
As to all matters on tonight's September 25 Historic Preservation Board meeting, I, James Murphy, have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
As to all matters on tonight's agenda, I, Kristen Kellogg, have discussed them with staff, but can make my decisions based on the evidence presented this evening. I also had ex parte communication previously for case 25-36. There's no additional ex parte from what was previously discussed at the last meeting. As to all matters on tonight's agenda, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
As to all matter in tonight's agenda, I, Gabe Charslapsky, have not had ex parte communications, have not received written communications, have not conducted an investigation, have not made a site visit, and have not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
As to all matters on tonight's agenda, I, Kyle Waters, have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communication. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit, nor have I received expert opinions. I request that all these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
As to all the matters on tonight's agenda, I, Peg Marker, have not had ex parte communications, have not received written communications, have not conducted an investigation, have not made a site visit, and have not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
Thank you. All right, now is the time for the swearing in of our speakers. If you wish to speak this evening, please stand, and raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We will start with the applicant for case 25-36. And the applicant has 10 minutes as a reminder.
Good evening, everyone. Madam Chair, members of the board, staff. My name is Jack Rice. I'm here on case number HPB 2536 on behalf of Raymond and Gloria Clark. I have been previously sworn. I'm here with my colleague, John Roach, as well as my clients, Raymond and Gloria Clark. You'll recall we were here previously regarding additions at the J.C. Peace House, which is a vernacular home from 1937. I'll try to keep it as quick as possible. So you'll recall that this is a certificate of appropriateness for an addition as well as ad valorem pre-construction. I won't belabor it, but essentially that the primary structure is being moved to the south and the finished floor elevation is being raised, as well as the removal of a non-historic rear addition that's essentially being replaced. There's also a one-story addition on the east side, a loggia, and the biggest change is a second-story addition with a balcony. There's some fenestration changes as well as a carport addition and a second-story addition at the rear. The modifications since the last meeting, you'll see them in a few minutes, but essentially the biggest thing we've done is we've removed a roof over the second floor balcony, which really allowed us to add pretty big changes to some of the roof planes in order to break up the massing. We also removed the roof over the porch. We changed the width of some windows and shutters on at the second floor after speaking with staff, and the idea is that it would establishes consistency with the structure overall, but also it kind of breaks up the massing. We maintained the existing Bahama shutters and on one side of the property, as well as the double window, in order to address the comments related to reversibility and in order to ensure that we were preserving most of the existing walls. The result was that we were able to eliminate one of our special exception requests because it reduced the floor area ratio impacts, or were changed, as well as reduced our lot coverage by about 1%, so it really changed the scope of that request. We are here on our third staff recommendation of approval. Staff has found that the changes meet the Secretary of the Interior standards as well as the additional criteria, and that the two-story additions designs allow for the one-story contributing structure to prevail, and that they better retain the gable massing at the existing one-story contributing structure. The first thing when we were kind of looking over it, we wanted to kind of make sure we were looking at surrounding buildings. Staff has done a really good job of kind of explaining what we look to when we're looking at doing the surrounding building analysis. I think it's attachment 1 of Anthony's report. It talks about how we look to the surrounding district, the buildings, the definition of those buildings, as well as the block as a whole. It does note that non-contributing structures are not valid references. And here, essentially, all the references on this block, as well as those that would fit within the definition of surrounding buildings, are 2 floors. Obviously, there are other single-floor homes within LCID. So here we have 201 Dyer, which is our non-contributing and non-valid reference point, but you do see it is 2 floors. The home on the other side, you'll see it's 2 floors as well. Here's another vantage point of the home next door. Here's the home across the street. And then a home on the same block. And 2745 South Flagler, which is contributing, and it is actually considered a surrounding building just due to its location, and it does abut the lot. Here we have a model of the home as we're currently proposing it tonight. I do want to point out we have removed the circle driveway. That's no longer part of the application. It just ended up on the image. But what you'll see is that hopefully you can see the changes to the property overall, but to kind of go back through the things, you'll see the second floor addition. It's about 2 feet 8 inches behind the ridge line of the existing structure, or 16 feet behind the wall of what I call the main wall of the existing structure, which is right here. It's about 25 feet actually behind the balcony of the projection to the north. Here's another vantage point. These are the windows that we are now maintaining that we were previously changing in order to replace. These are also the same shutters that we're reverting back to from a prior version that we reviewed with you. I do want to make a comment about one additional comment with the roof. I mean, you'll see the changes to the actual roof planes later in the presentation. But the bigger changes here that we'll go over is you'll see we've removed that front porch roof. There were some concerns previously about it kind of being like a Tony Hawk type skate ramp and just kind of being an introduction to the massing. So we've tried to remove that. We have reverted back to the Bermuda shutter here. And the reason that was done was essentially the client wanted to be able to preserve their privacy in that room now that they don't have that covering. And we did kind of work with staff previously about looking into trying to reduce the pitch of the second floor. We reduced it as much as we could, but we really thought, and staff seemed to agree, that if we reduced it any further, it created a squatty-like appearance that really was not compatible with the architecture of this area. So here you'll see where we've removed the floor over that balcony. And you'll see the initial break that is the most apparent in the roof, and it really kind of echoes the break in the original structure's roof below. You'll see where we've removed the front porch roof. These are the windows that we've narrowed. We've made them, I think, about 4 inches narrow and made the shutters more narrow as well so that they matched the existing first floor and the structure, and overall made the massing feel lighter. This is that shutter that we're reverting back to due to the loss of the porch roof. Here you'll see how the roof planes were really broken up with the removal of that roof over the porch. Well, I should say the roof over the second floor balcony as well as that over the porch. We also had a lot of comments about reversibility previously. So what we wanted to show here were the existing walls that are remaining. Those are shown on green on the screen. And that non-historic addition is being removed. It is being replaced with an addition that will essentially be in the same area. You can see that better on this slide. Actually, I'm sorry. But this slide really shows the addition over the existing roof. I know that there were some concerns about the reversibility ability of that with the roof trusses. And we have put in the notes that essentially we're trying to keep and maintain as much of the sheathing as possible. Next, you'll see how we've been able to accomplish, once we moved the addition back, maintaining the existing structure's roof trusses. And I almost forgot that word, so I apologize. And I will not go through the standards in order to kind of keep things brief. Wes, is there anything you wanted to address? If not, we're ready for questions.
Thank you, Jack. Well said on all topics. I would just like to say the massing has been considerably adjusted. In my professional opinion, Jack and I had conversations with Anthony and Jordan. Even after the last meeting, we listened to all of your comments. We made adjustments. I think this is a substantial reduction in massing. I think the home looks great, and I hope you feel the same. Here for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Oh, sorry, staff presentation. Skipped right over that. I apologize, Anthony.
No worries. Good evening, Anthony Mendez, Historic Preservation Planner for the record, speaking as the case manager for HPB 2536. The request is for additions and alterations in ad valorem pre-construction. This case was first presented last June, was continued by this board, was deferred in July, and then once presented last month in August, was continued once again by HPB. And so after looking through our bylaws and consulting with Melissa, HPB has to come to a decision at this particular meeting. The background, this subject property at 195 Dyer Road is located in the Elsit Historic District in zoning context single family 14 context 3, constructed circa 1937 in the vernacular style, which is essentially a broad term in architectural history to describe buildings designed using local materials and without the guidance of a professional architect. The designation for the Elsit Historic District was locally designated in 1993 and then designated in the National Register for Historic Places in 1995. So when staff evaluates applications along these parameters, we understand that changes to historic properties have to occur at some point over time. Since this is a contributing property within the district, we identify the historic character defining features of this property, and we ultimately provide direction as through our findings and our analysis as to how we could best preserve these features. And so the character defining features that we found in this particular property that are visible from the south facade, the porthole window, the coins which are intended to be restored in this design iteration, the porch, which the roof is now intended to be removed, and the door surrounds at the front. So the proposal, that hasn't changed. Previous concerns was the second story consuming the primary structure, the aspect of reversibility per the Secretary of Interior standards, and the overwhelming massing from the last two times this case was heard. Here are perspective renderings. We have the demo plan for the roof alongside an aerial, which was provided via Zillow. The demo plan for the floor plan. Changes to the now proposed roof plan showing that break in at the roof with a second-story addition, along with the removal of the proposed porch. We see the proposals in the floor plan, and the new window configuration for window W right here is intended to remain per staff's proposal. We have the new, uncovered space, the second floor plan, demo elevation drawings, retention of the Bahama shutter along the south elevation drawing, along with the break up of the roof. New east elevation, north elevation, west, and here we have the existing and proposed elevation drawings for the accessory structure. We have the streetscape and new section drawing, along with references of existing aerials, again provided via Zillow. The surrounding buildings analysis to show that the most pertinent buildings are 2, 3, 4, and 5, even though they are not in the vernacular style, are the most valid reference points for this particular type of request. We have the zoning and land development regulations review, the most updated numbers that have been changed, and the applicant is still using section 9485 to get their bonuses, which are pertinent to sections E and F. To get the bonus per letter E, you have to have the accessory structure set back at least 10 feet from behind the front facade of the principal structure and separated from the main structure from minimum distance of 15 feet. And for letter F, allowing the preservation of one or more specimen trees. So that is this tree that is towards the front. So that does change their lot coverage and floor area ratio quantities to 25 and 43%. So we have the 3% that's added to both of those quantities, along with the 2% per letter F. So we have also demonstrated that the accessory structure is a legal non-conforming structure. However, new additions that are being proposed have to conform within our site setbacks. So as with the last month, staff is recommending approval with conditions, and they're relatively the same as last month, with some modifications to the wording for clarity, along with adherence from what are from the latest submittal from our applicants. So I have included the email correspondence from Megan and Ryan Quinn from 219 Dyer Road. This is from September 22nd. Along with Michael and Stacy Elliott's email from this past week, September 24th. Jack Rice has provided a petition with signatures indicating support. And actually, on that note, I just received, as I was entering the commission chambers, an actual formal letter of support from Amy Quattlebaum from 271 Cordova Road. So there's only one copy, but I'm happy to print copies and distribute this to our board.
Sure. Let the record show we're entering that into evidence in the record.
Okay, absolutely. So we have existing photos from the north facade. This was from last June. Historical archives photos, so it includes the property record card, our historic aerial from 1979, Florida Master Site File survey from 1990, historic photograph from 1968, and a 1930 Sanborn map. And we have the applicable codes, which are the Secretary of Interior standards, and the additional criteria for new construction and alterations. With that, that concludes staff's presentation for this design iteration.
Excellent, thank you. Questions of the board for staff or the applicant?
I have a question for the applicant, architect. And thank you. The drawings show that the original structure is going to have the asphalt shingles to remain. I think your drawing A3 says that.
I'm not sure where A3 is the reference here. Is that the roof plan?
Okay. What's the roof's going to be?
Okay. The roof, we have a concrete tile that's going to appear like slate. It would have been the most historically correct roof to use here. The original green card did show a tile roof. After consultation with Anthony Mendez on the subject, we had all agreed, as well as Mr. Bornsgraber, another staff member, at least consultant to the
Sure.
city.
But your drawings show the original roof, and it's noted that it's going to be asphalt shingles, and I just wanted clarification. That's incorrect, and it's all going to be a slate roof?
That is correct. Our slate roof shows up on all proposed elevations. And I'm sorry, let me just bring that up here.
Okay.
The slate roof is depicted in the front elevation. You're comparing existing with asphalt versus proposed with slate.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a
that
set-
sheet's the one that calls out asphalt shingles to remain or to match historic. Okay, great, thank you. That was my only question.
Additional questions from the board?
Madam Chair, I don't mean to interrupt, but I do need to offer our petitions of support into evidence because they weren't previously entered.
What's that?
We'll take that and move it into evidence, and it shall be part of the record. Yeah, go ahead and give it to the clerk down at the end.
Okay, thank you.
Jack, I didn't know that you hadn't given it to him ahead of time.
Okay, we have no additional questions at this time, but now is the time for public comment. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on this case? Okay, please come up to the podium. We'll also need you to just fill out a comment card and give it to our board secretary once you're done speaking. And just a reminder, 3 minutes.
Under that.
Great.
Yes, I'll do that. Thank you so much. I apologize for the lateness of my letter that I submitted as support for this project. My name is Amy Quattlebaum. I currently live on Cordova Road. Back in 1995, I lived on Valencia, so I have a true love for El Cid, for sure, and all things historic. I was also the realtor that listed the property and sold the property, so it also is near and dear to my heart. With your guidance and with the talent of the architect that we have here, I really feel like this is an excellent example of a renovated El Cid home, honoring the historic contribution to our neighborhood, but also enhancing the property within the historic preservation guidelines and preserving the home's character. It is contributing also to the long-term value for the surrounding properties, which obviously is important for me as a homeowner. I've shown the plans to neighbors, and some of them did. The ones that did see their plans signed the petition, and they and I are very overwhelmingly supportive of the project. So I just encourage the board to please approve these plans, and thank you for the time for me to express my support. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here for public comment on this case? Please come to the podium. If you'll state your name and address for the record.
Yes, you may.
Okay, great. Hello, my name is Elaine Taronis. I live at 305 Dyer Road. I'm here in support of my new neighbors. I have a quick letter. Shall I read that? Dear Historic Preservation Board, I'm writing to express my enthusiastic support for the proposed project at 195 Dyer Road for the owners Ray and Gloria Clark. The design is very thoughtful and clearly respects the architectural character of the existing home while providing a harmonious and well-proportioned extension that is well-suited to the very large lot. As a resident of El Cid neighborhood and of Dyer Road, I believe this project is not only beautiful, but will also add value to our street and to the community at large. The design feels consistent with the style of the area, while at the same time elevating the overall appearance of the property in a tasteful way. I have reviewed the plans and find them to be both sensitive and respectful to the neighborhood's historic character. This is exactly the type of improvement that supports the long-term vitality of El Cid while honoring its distinctive heritage. I am confident that this addition will contribute positively to the neighborhood, enhance surrounding property values, and serve as a wonderful example of appropriate and compatible design. For all these reasons, I strongly urge the board to approve this certificate of appropriateness. Sincerely, Elena Terrones.
Thank you. Additional public comment? Okay.
Do I give this to somebody?
You don't need, you just read that into the record, so
Okay,
I don't think you
perfect.
need.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Would the applicant like a rebuttal? You had only support at, okay, for the public comment portion. Thank you. All right, we will move into executive session.
I know normally I start off, but I wasn't here for last month's presentation. I will say the drawings that I reviewed in preparation for this meeting has come a long way since the version that I saw in June. So I think there's some good moves that have been made. But again, I think it's much improved from what I originally saw in June. I don't know what was presented last month.
Yeah, I got to commend Dr. Rosicki. Although I was pleased with the design last submission, I think a lot of care was taken to ensure that, if this addition was removed in the future, we're retaining as much as possible. Really respect that. I'm happy with it.
So what is your opinion that the roof material should be? Because the drawing says asphalt.
The drawings say asphalt. Yeah, I know. I think that the removal of the skate ramp roof was a great move.
I'm so relieved to see that. It's a huge improvement.
And I think it would look awkward with the two different types of the roofing materials. So if they got guidance from staff that this roof material is appropriate.
Okay.
Also because it said tile on the green card for it. Otherwise, I might feel a little bit differently. But I agree with Mr. Murphy. Okay. It sounds like we are ready for a motion.
I move that the Historic Preservation Board approve application number 25-36 for ad valorem pre-construction additions and alterations in accordance with standards 9 and 10 and set forth in section 94-49 of the City Zoning and Land Development Regulations. The motion is based on the testimony presented along with the application submitted and the staff report, which constitute competent substantial evidence. In addition, the approval of this request is made conditional upon the following restrictions, stipulations, and safeguards that I move are necessary to ensure compliance with the purpose and intent of a historic preservation ordinance, the historic preservation element of a comprehensive plan of the City of West Palm Beach, the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation, the additional compatibility criteria set forth in section 94-49 of the City Zoning and Land Development Regulations. The conditions include the following. The frame color for all replaced windows shall be white. The proposed one-story addition towards the east shall be pushed back to be in alignment with the two-story addition at the rear. The proposed copper gutter shall be half round, and the proposed cypress louver shutter shall be configured to match their respective openings.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
All right, the motion carries. Thank you. Congratulations. All right, our next case under new business is case number 25-69. And that is 712 Park Place.
Good evening, everyone, again, and thank you for moving this closer to the first presentation made tonight. I'm here again for 712 Park Place, and I just want to apologize in advance if I didn't make myself abundantly clear on the first application. I know there was a little bit of back and forth between me and the staff reviewer at that time, and I know the board had already made a decision on this, so thank you again for your second attention here. 712 Park Place, my client has asked us to reapply for the same metal roof, but with a medium bronze color. The board had previously approved the 5E crimp roof, but with an anodized mill finish. I think overarchingly, I just want to make a statement, is maybe unbeknownst to you at the previous presentation that the staff did approve an application for window and door direct replacements, whereby all the metal on those windows were bronze color, Florida bronze, which, as you might recall, is a darker bronze. We have a request for a medium bronze. I'm particular about metals matching metals. I think if you look at the photos of this home and you think about an anodized mill on the roof and you compare it to window frame metal, which should otherwise match, in my opinion, professionally, there is a mismatch with the anodized mill finish. So I'll jump into the presentation here. Picture of the home. You're seeing an aerial view of it. The front single-story home is contributing. The rear two-story home is not masonry. It's a masonry vernacular, but we would call it a vernacular. Here's the rear structure, not contributing. The roof is already in a tonal brown. The gutters were just replaced, also in a color that's been painted called Broadway. Broadway is a dark bronze color. The eaves have been also painted dark bronze. I think this type of architecture with essentially what I'm calling a bone paint color, which in this case is Chantilly lace, is an uplifting feel consistent with the South Florida vernacular, in my opinion. You can see the thick sills on the structure, which are also painted bronze. They do Broadway, which looks like bronze. They do match the frames, so the window frames and the sills and the band, which are, on the structure, all match with the eave and gutter. Consistent with the contributing structure all around, right? You could even see the posts, you can see the beams. Kind of this dark brown color would be consistent, in my opinion, for beams and post painting. The dark bronze color for window frames has been a color that this board has previously approved consistently and also on projects of ours. Generally speaking, it's white or it's dark bronze or it's the anodized or aluminum finish, right? I think, if you want my honest opinion, I think these windows probably should have been approved as an anodized mill finish, if that's the strategy of keeping consistent with finishes, right? Plenty of vernacular structures throughout this neighborhood have the mill finish, but they have different window colors. And wherever you have a different window color on a historically contributing home, I have found that the roof matches the window frame color. You'll see photos of that shortly. So these are the elevations showing the metal roof profile. It's the flat 5V crimp. Cheyenne, would you mind bringing the sample and just holding it on an angle for the board to see? So we brought the roof sample with us today. This is from Gulf Coast Roofing Supply. This is the flat profile of the 5V crimp. That is the spacing of the ribs, and you will have exposed fasteners. Again, this is a medium bronze. It's not a dark bronze. It was requested by staff if we can have a lighter colored selection, if it was a color, but the client's specific request, which we agree with, is to end up somewhere medium tone so that it's complementary to the window and door frames, as well as the eaves, as well as the gutters that are already in place, approved by historic staff under a separate application. Pictures of the roof plan, drawings of the roof plan here. I'm just going to bring, this is the next door neighbor's house, compass direction west, with a colored 5V crimp roof. This is a contributing home. You can see the plaque on the front of the home. It is a wood frame vernacular. I'd say consistent in architectural style as the home adjacent, but a little more masonry. If I went back to the photos, you'd see the horizontal siding bands above the, call it the tie beam elevation. Here's a roof. I'm not saying this looks good. I'm pointing it out for reference. I think this looks wild, but there is a blue roof and white window frames on a contributing structure. Here's another home which has more of a gray tone, I'd say dark gray, standing seam metal. With matching gutters, the windows here and frames here are white. Here's another home. This one is on Biscayne Drive, non-contributing, but it is in the district, and it's a masonry vernacular, essentially, architecturally speaking. It does have a green roof, and believe it or not, the green roof matches the green window frames. Here's, various. I could tell you, before coming to this meeting, I did a little scouting and research driving up and down the blocks, but I did it again, and I canvassed the whole neighborhood driving up and down each street. I'd say there's probably around 10% of the homes which are vernaculars or bungalows that have metal roofs on them. Most are the anodized mill finish. But if I bring you into the context of anodized mill, it was a roof that was available at the time. They didn't have coatings on roofs when a lot of those homes were built, right? And they would rust out the anodized mill because they're on steel, right? So the steel rusts. So people would come back and paint it, and they'd paint it typically a tinner's red or a brown, which would be consistent with trying to hide the rust on the roof over time, right? Because these roofs don't last forever. The anodized mill do require replacement, but for these homes of the scale and size, people would repaint their roofs. So that's a commonality to have a paint color on a 5V crimp metal roof. Here's a few depictions of me holding up a sample next to the home so you can see it and compare it. There's a tonal difference, but it is complementary. This is the before and after. We photoshopped it, right? So the current shingles and the bronze color. I think it looks rich. And then I just want to remind you with quotations here from Ms. Kellogg. Basically, I agree with your statement that the home has lost a little bit of its vernacular quality, but it makes it a unique case in this instance. We want to talk about the standards for compliance because staff actually said this does not comply. And we, on this basis, feel that the residence has lost such strong characteristics of its historic vernacular that it's a unique case. Since the window frames were previously approved to be bronze, we feel that a bronze metal roof would pair better than the mill finish and be a more beautiful look for the home. Another standard here we found in response to it that historically metal roofs were often painted, as I mentioned earlier. So I think a colored roof would be common, and it's just a matter of what the homeowner chose to paint it at that point in time, historically speaking. Here's tinner's red to show you what that looks like and what people would paint over the anodized mill. So standard 9, new additions, exterior alterations related to new construction will not destroy historic materials. This is a roof, right? It could always be removed and replaced with asphalt shingle if someone in the future wants to do that. If someone wants to repaint it, they can repaint it. There's no loss of historic material. The existing asphalt shingle on the home was not original, right? So I think the fact that the board has already approved a metal roof, the fact that it's a color, should not be inhibiting upon an approval here. No problem. I could finish up within 1 minute. Here's other different quotes from the board. Maybe we should start considering other things than mill finish for standing seam roofs. That's from Caleb. And Caleb also said he wants to go on record to be in favor of supporting a standing seam roof in a color. And standing seam roofs look better than metal imitation shingles. Here's just a representation of another image of a home with a medium bronze by Gulf Coast. But that's a standing seam without exposed fasteners. And that completes our presentation. We do have other samples if the board wants to see them.
Okay, thank you. We'll have
Thank
the
you.
staff presentation
Sure.
now.
Hello, everyone. Jordan Hodges for the record. Pleasure to be in front of all of you this evening. Okay, so this is 712 Park Place. I'm just going to go over, this case is pretty simple. I'm just going to go over and kind of explain staff's position on this. So again, these are two structures built roughly around the same time in 1945, and they were classified as masonry vernacular structures. Per the property card, both of these structures were originally designed with a tile roof. But as you can see, at some point, they've been replaced with asphalt shingles. You can also see the new replacement windows the applicants mentioned. They are in a bronze finish, so I think this brings up a good moment to discuss why and when staff and the board reviews color sometimes, and sometimes they don't. Okay. And that is when, generally, when the color or the finish is intrinsic to a material. So in this case, it is a metal roof, and we know what historic metal roofs look like because we have the documentation, and some still exist today. Our historic metal roofs on residential buildings of this period were typically tin plate shingles, and they had an exposed mill finish because the tin plate was the finish. So in this case, we would say that the exposed metal is the appropriate finish. Another example for masonry vernacular structures where you would have a color intrinsic material would be a flat white tile roof. Kind of where those white tiles came from in the 1930s, architects started replicating British West Indies architecture here in South Florida. And those tiles were originally slurry coated with a lime slurry, which caused them to be white. So today, when we're replacing flat tiles, we generally request that they go back on as white. Okay. But to get back to the windows on the application, staff will sometimes review the finish of windows. In this case, these replacement windows were designed to replicate what was originally there, which was a wood double-hung product. So wood has intrinsic qualities, but it is a painted material. You don't really leave exposed wood out in South Florida. So there are steel casements from the 30s or aluminum awning windows from the 40s and 50s that have a clear anodized finish. And when we replace those today, we do require a clear anodized finish just because that's how they historically presented themselves. So staff doesn't find that the replacement of the windows degrades the building in any way. As far as visual compatibility for surrounding and adjacent buildings, there are various styles of structures, four squares, bungalows, frame vernaculars, minimal traditionals, all predominantly with shingle roofs. And the applicant has pointed out that there are a handful of colored metal roofs in the Flamingo Park District, as well as in the neighboring Grandview Heights District. And I did drive around over the weekend, and he is absolutely correct. There was a blue one, a green one, some varying shades that have been installed. So what I had our city's consultant go back in our property records and building permit files to kind of see what happened there and when and why they were approved. And what we found was a bit of a mixed bag. Some lacked documentation. They were approved prior to our current permitting software, so that didn't all pull over. But what I didn't find was an explicit approval for a color. It seems the board has been very consistent, and staff has been very consistent when installing metal roofs, that they go back in a mill finish, an anodized finish, a galvalume finish, something that replicates what we know those historic roofs looked like. The fact that there are some colored metal roofs, as a new person here, gives me a little pause for concern. I think we need to research that to see if these were originally approved as like a silver mill roof. How did they go on as a color roof, and how did we miss that? But that's on the list of things to do. Okay, so the applicant is requesting a medium bronze finish, and I will say that what they're requesting does have the appearance of a more neutral metal, potentially even an aged metal. It's not garish or loud or particularly distracting, and bronze as a color, not necessarily a material finish, but as a color, can be found throughout the districts. Warm browns are pretty typical as a paint application, as well as in an asphalt shingle. But staff's recommendation for denial was based on the plain reading of standards 6 and 9, and past board decisions and overall visual compatibility. But as the applicant pointed out, there did seem to be some support from various board members last month regarding potential alternate finishes to a mill finish, but I do think that's a conversation the board needs to have. Or you may decide that special circumstances exist in this application that would warrant an alternate finish. But those circumstances should be discussed and judged against your criteria. But staff is able to do future research on the topic, general topic if needed, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Excellent, thank you. Questions from the board?
Just a comment. Jordan, I appreciate the work that you put in to give us the history. The other color roofs is helpful.
Okay, seeing no other questions, we'll move into public comment. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this case? All right, seeing none, I don't think you need a rebuttal. All right, we will move into executive session. Caleb, would you like to start us off since?
I guess my previous comments speak for themselves, though I guess the larger question is one of consistency of previous judgments and allowances, and that's something I can't really speak to apart from the presentations given. I think there is a case for painted. I think the case for the painted roof bears scrutiny. But as far as like locally how that gets applied, it's hard to say. And it's like, part of me wants to because I know, for example, down in Key West, they are very particular about their roof colors and roof finishes and what gets approved, and I'd be curious to know how they handle that in their historic board. I don't know. I mean, stylistically, I think it looks fine. I'm okay with the finish, but if there's an issue with setting a precedent or an effort to be consistent, I'm open to that sort of discussion.
Anyone else?
I don't know if mill finish would look good on this house, just the way it is.
Any other commentary on this one?
Why are you selecting exposed fasteners and not concealed fasteners?
We just want it to be more historic. We just want it to be more historically appropriate, but the client is acceptive of a standing seam roof without exposed fasteners if that's requested by the board.
Thank you. I mean, regarding the color, we have strict standards now. I don't remember approving this house, the window replacement. So I don't know what our standards say today for this.
Right, my understanding is that we didn't, that it was approved at the staff level. Is that correct? The windows were approved at the staff level.
I believe that's correct.
Yes. Yeah, so because those windows have already approved at the staff level and now they want a metal roof, now you have these like
Correct.
competing colors, right? I think that's maybe part of the uniqueness of this case.
Is that?
And maybe part of the conversation that we have, like Mr. Hodges was saying, about roof materials and embedded color, maybe that relates to the windows as well. But I think that's something that's going to need to happen at a later date, right, to really dig into that. Like when Ms. Mittner was here, there were certain kind of things that we would workshop and do like a staff presentation on, like the window and door policy as a whole, we did that for at one point. So for this case.
Yeah, so that would be like a reason why we could approve a color like this if we consider that is appropriate, right? Because the color of the windows.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'm sorry, I wasn't here last month. Did I understand this application was acted upon last month?
Yes,
And it included a discussion on the metal roof?
yes.
And the applicant wanted this bronze then, last month?
The applicant was open to the galvanized finish. It was not the same architect presenting, but it was correct, it was your partner who presented last month. And it appeared to the board from the information that we received that they were open to the galvanized finish at the last meeting. And so that is what we approved, because that is, you know, something that we commonly approve is a galvanized finish for standing seam.
So I just want to interject, going back to Gabe's concern, and I'm not sure if Caleb also mentioned it. There was discussion about a concern of setting a precedent, but every case that comes before this board is unique, and we do not, you know, set precedents for things in the future. So I don't think that you really need to take that into consideration at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm in support of in this instance.
Yeah, I think the problem lies in the manufacturers and giving the general public far too many options of colors. And that's true at Macy's, and it's certainly true on this color chart on page 411. I think if metal roofs come before the board, it's really important, having dealt with this for a lot of my career, that the color selection is specified as part of the application. It's typically harder to track that down when it comes down to permit. So I could sense Jordan's, Mr. Hodges' kind of frustration with trying to figure out, sometimes it's specified and can be seen called out on an elevation. Sometimes it's on an attached NOA and may have been ripped out in the permit intake. In any case, I think going before the board allows us to review the 31 flavors and choose the most appropriate one. And in this instance, I think the bronze is actually kind of appropriate.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like we might be ready for a motion.
I just out of are the fasteners color coded to the roof? Just out of curiosity.
The applicant is saying yes for the record.
So anybody has a concern or know about exposed fastener versus?
I mean, that's the way you install 5/8 crimp. It's pretty normal looking, I would say.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
I move that the Historic Preservation Board approve application number 25-69 712 Park Place for alterations, change in roof material, in accordance with standards 9 and 10 as set forth in section 94-49 of the City Zoning and Land Development Regulations. The motion is based on the testimony presented along with the application submitted and the staff report, which constitute competent substantial evidence.
Do we have a-
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. Thank you for your time. Our next case is case number 24-114A for 509 N Street. If the applicant is ready, we'll have your presentation.
This is the site plan, and you can use it. Okay. All right, thank you. Good evening. My name is Richard Barnes. Mr. Lacadera, the owner of the property, is not able to be here tonight. Basically, what he is requesting is a 2-foot variance. The primary residence encroaches into the setback 2 feet now. Several of the adjoining properties also encroach into the setbacks. The west side of this property fronts an alley, excuse me, a pretty rough alley. And then there's a 5-foot wood fence along the alley and a hedge. And he's proposing to put his addition next to that. It's a tight site, and since he'd have about 10 feet of wasted space, he's requesting if he could have 2 to move it over and expand the internal space a little bit.
Is that it?
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't
great.
know what else
Thank
to tell you. I mean, it's
we
pretty
appreciate
simple.
the brevity. All right, we'll have the staff presentation then. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Ann Volsey for the record. So this is HPB case number 24-114A for a variance request at 509 N Street. Just as a recap, this came last month for the COA request, which was approved with about 7 conditions, one of which was, well, the first condition was that they shift the addition 2 feet inwards in order to comply with the zoning code. The applicant did try several renditions, and they were unable to accommodate the 2 feet, which they stated at the last meeting, hence why they're applying for this variance request. So this is a contributing frame vernacular structure in Grandview Heights Historic District. It is 0.18 acres. It is operating as a single-family residential structure. The request is for a 2-foot variance. The requirement in the code is 10 feet minimum, and they are providing 8 feet, which is in line with the existing structure on site, which they're doing the addition to. Here is a survey showing the layout with the existing 1-story residence that had the addition towards the midpoint of the site, as well as another 2-story addition, which has a Class B special use permit on the southern end of northern end of the site, sorry. And highlighted in red just shows the encroachment, which exists with the existing structure, as well as the 2-foot encroachment of the proposed pool cabana, which is fairly small in footprint. And next I have the proposed floor plans, just to show what's going on inside, which you guys saw last month. The roof plan, and the elevations for all sides, and the connection point, which was provided by the applicant to address condition number 3, which was part of the COA, indicating how the structure was connected to the main house. And with that, Staff recommends approval with conditions based on the findings that the petition meets all of the required variance standards found in section 94-38D6 of the City of West Palm Beach Zoning and Land Development Regulations and the Historic Preservation Ordinance. And the condition is that the variance shall only apply to the proposed addition along the alley. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Questions of the board for staff or the applicant?
So I wasn't here last month, so I don't know the particulars of the case, but I would think that when we approve a variance is for something that is existing. So I don't see here the hardship to approve a variance when the project can be redesigned. Now, I heard that you said that they tried to redesign it and they couldn't make it work.
Yes, they've tried a few. Let me go back.
Because this is a regular lot size, right?
Yes. And they have, I'm not sure if you see the circle right here.
Yeah.
So they have to maintain that. So whether they do it on this side or the other, it would be the same required setback.
Because it's 20 cumulative for this lot.
Yes, give me one moment. I actually have the total on the site compliance. Page 14. Yes. It is 20 cumulative. And right now they're at 14.9.
And the frontage is 50 feet for this
The
one.
frontage, the width, you mean?
Yes.
The width of the lot is not included in here. Give me one
50
moment.
feet, I
Yeah,
think that
that's
they
what it
saw.
looked like
It's
on
on
the
the
survey. It was
survey,
just
yes.
or the site plan. I believe it's 50.
Yes.
Yeah.
50.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this case? Okay. I don't think the applicant needs a rebuttal, but I'll give you the opportunity.
Just one note, part of the reason we chose that side is because across the alley, there's some two-story residences that are right on the alley. This way, it gives them a little more privacy for the pool because everything is facing into their lot. If we moved it to the east side, you know, they're just on display for everybody. So that's why we picked the west side.
Thank you. All right, we'll move into executive session.
So, yeah, again, I wasn't here last month. Seemed like we missed a good meeting. I'm slightly struggling to justify the granting of the variance. It's not an attached linear extension of the non-conforming setback of the principal structure, which has this non-conforming setback. It's a pool cabana. It seems like it should be able to be designed to comply with the regulations.
I'll actually ask a question of staff to remind me from our last meeting, since we had a couple board members who weren't here. When this project was discussed at the last meeting, we knew that, or the applicant knew that they would need a variance to come back through this. So we weren't really looking at the variance portion of the application at that point because it wasn't before us. But is there any kind of context that we should be considering just in relation to the previous COA approval that this board gave for this project?
So for like any additional considerations?
Like, I know we didn't approve the variance because it wasn't in front of us,
Correct.
but, I mean, so this structure, because it's attached to the primary structure, correct?
It's attached via breezeway.
Because there's already an accessory structure.
Correct. So it would have to meet the principal
Primary,
structure setbacks, which is 20.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a maneuver to comply with the zoning to attach it, but also in that maneuver, we get a variance.
Right, so, well, there's also the enjoyable use of the land aspect of it. So with the pool, whether it goes on either side, because the pool itself also is much smaller than a standard pool. So with that size and the size of the cabana, that's the only way. Whether it's flipped over or not, they would still have to have a 10 setback on either side.
And the pool is existing?
It is not existing.
Okay.
It is not
I
existing.
misunderstood that. Okay, thank you.
But they're providing the information for us to review as a whole.
I see. Thank you.
So the existing house is non-compliant, right? Because it's already in the setback by 2 feet.
It's non-compliant, it encroaches 2 feet into the required setback.
Correct. So the project is to build this cabana in alignment with the existing house.
Correct.
And they can't pull it in?
Well, the pool cabana has a 12'6" dimension inside. I would think that if they do it 10'6", will be compliant now.
Right.
And also the circular, the circle indicates the distance separation that is required between the structures.
Correct,
So
but the
they
storage
cannot-
can be reduced by 2 feet and keeping,
Right, so
there is a
moving in
way
2
to do
feet,
it.
they would encroach within that 15 foot requirement.
Thank you.
Would someone like to try motion?
Quick question, though.
Yeah.
If it was a redesign of, say, storage and bathroom to move it, say the bathroom and the storage on the same side, would that help with the setback requirement? See, instead of storage on would that be the north side?
It doesn't help with the setback requirement in terms of your side setbacks. It helps with the radius that's drawn in, right, for the separation between, we'll call this an addition, and the accessory structure.
And last month, we'd asked them to move it over the 2 feet, so we wouldn't have the variance issue.
I'll let staff answer that.
So last month, we did not consider what moving the 2 feet would be. It was just, we cannot approve a certificate of appropriateness without it complying with zoning. So that condition was placed to say that you're not compliant with zoning, you need to move it 2 feet. So if they show us that they cannot move it 2 feet, then they would have to apply for the variance. Otherwise, try some way to redesign and figure it out.
You want me to draw it right now?
For free? Thank you.
Do we have any more questions, or would someone like to make a motion?
I can make a motion. Ms. Anderson, do I need to cite the reasons why should a motion be made for denying the variance? Why I,
Well, you would have to find that one or more of the standards had not been met, in your opinion, because staff has opined that they have met the variance standards.
There is a language in the package for denying the
Yeah, I
variance. If
I
that's
believe
that is what you are trying to do.
I believe it's
No,
page-
I see that part. It's the next part. I'll wing it.
It's like the next page. The variance standards, A through J.
Yep, got it. Okay. I'll make a motion. I move that the Historic Preservation Board deny HBB case number 24114A, a request by James Laquadera for a variance from section 9481B2D2 of the city zoning and land development regulations to accommodate an addition to an existing single-family residence in the historic single-family high-density context 2 zoning district. The motion is based on the testimony presented along with the application submitted and staff report, which constitute competent substantial evidence. The board hereby makes findings of fact that not all of the criteria in Article 2, Section 9438D6 of the City of West Palm Beach zoning and land development regulations have been met. The standards that have not been met include the following. The application does not meet the variance standard that the actions are not of the applicant. It is not the minimum request. That's E. So it's B, E. C, granting the variance will bequest special privileges on this property owner as opposed to others in the immediate same district. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? All right, the motion carries and the application fails.
Thank you.
Right, our next case is case 25-54 for 445 30th Street.
Hi, good evening. Gregory Bonner from B1 Architects, representing 445 30th Street in Northwood. We are requesting a 1,000 square foot, we'll call it an addition to an existing accessory structure. There's a one-story accessory structure. We are going to request a second story to it. The 1,000 square foot accessory structure is below that. Here is the existing site plan. The original house on the bottom in the shadow there, shaded area is from 1926. It's a Mediterranean revival house. And you can see, I'm not sure 100% when the accessory structure was built, but staff believes it was built at the same time. The existing wood frame structure that's currently there is dilapidated, falling apart, and really in some dire need of being rebuilt. With that being said, we've been trying to be very sensitive and work with staff in order to try and accommodate keeping as much as we possibly could, albeit I will show you in some slides in the end of this the condition that it currently exists in. So here you see some of the existing photos of the residence. On the upper right-hand side is the main residence off of the 30th. And the accessory structure is to the north. It is off of an alleyway, as you can see in the bottom left-hand picture. There's an alleyway. It is currently only 3 feet off of the property line off that alleyway. And right now there is a blue tarp that happens to be on that roof because the roof is completely ruined and torn apart. Below you now see the streetscape with the main residence on the right-hand side, our proposed structure next to it, the alleyway, and then a garage to the left, one-story garage, and the house down the street. Here's the existing site plan, just showing where we're going to demolish the existing area. You'll see in the dark shaded areas, those are walls that we're trying to keep in order to keep some of the context between the existing structure and the main residence. Here's a simple plan of that area. It's currently used for storage, but really not used at all because the existing structure is falling apart. Here is the proposed area. Again, we are trying to, and I'll go through this in the floor plan, but again, trying to keep the context between not only the main residence, but also the accessory. This property has a very grand backyard, one that's unique to the character of that time and that time period. So we are trying to keep the pool in that backyard as uninterrupted as possible. We've also tried to provide a utility area where we can get into the garage, but still create a context that from the street would represent what is currently there. So if we go down, here's a floor plan of what we're proposing. The shaded area to the left is a one-car garage that is accessible not only from the inside of the property, but also from the alleyway. The dark lines there, the shaded lines there, are the existing walls that we propose to remain, even though we would really prefer to rebuild it in the exact same location. There's a setback off of that alleyway, 2 feet, in order for all of the new walls to comply with the existing code, which is a 5-foot setback at that point. The shaded areas would be remaining in the existing configuration. In doing so, then we have a staircase that leads to a second floor, which has a 1-bedroom suite up there. These are the elevations. On the left, you can see it's an existing 1-car garage. We've tried to keep the relationship of that 1-story element on the street side and the 2-story massing being pushed back so that the context from the street remains the same. Obviously, you can see also on the proposed, the existing, on the left-hand side, the existing 1-story element is remaining. We thought that that was in keeping with the existing house and some of the uniqueness of the extension. And let's just go backwards really quickly to show you what I'm referring to. As you can see on the bottom right-hand side, the main residence does have 1-story portions that poke out and trying to keep that context together. With that being said, here are some of the other elevations. Trying to keep all the materials would be the same as the house: stucco, flat red roof, tile, French doors. We've tried to create some of the elements that were there. As you can see on some of the as we've had to maneuver the addition to meet the setback requirements, it's created a balanced 1-story elements that project on both the north and the south side. And the bottom level that has the new pool cabana will be in the same context as where the existing openings are, and have that same connection towards the house. Here's a roof plan. Again, here's just a context between the overall west elevations. Here's a simple section there, and window and door types and schedule. Everything really matches the existing in size and shape and materials. Here are a couple of the images of some of the wood frame that has happened over time. The structure is in disrepair, cracked foundations, the wood is rotted. There's been multiple issues with the structure over time that's been piecemealed and patched, and it is our desire to rebuild the structure, even if we're considering it a demolition, but if it was possible to rebuild it in the exact same form that we're proposing here, we think that it would stand the test of time a lot better than trying to repair something that's there right now that's in bad shape. There's mold everywhere. We have some issues. So we do know that with this application, the roof will be removed regardless. So we are requesting informally to allow us to rebuild the structure in totality. I would try to keep this brief. So with that being said, I'll stop the presentation and answer any questions.
Great. We'll actually have the staff presentation next.
Anthony Mendez, Historic Preservation Planner for the record, speaking as the case manager for HPB 2554. The request is for additions and alterations to the accessory structure at 445 30th Street. This property entails both two contributing structures. Accessory structure was also designated as contributing in the early phases of surveying. It was classified as the Mediterranean Revival architectural style, which has architectural features that entail complex roof lines, step parapets, multi-light casement, and double-hung sash windows. We have the aerial, which is from Zillow, the picture of the primary structure, and then the west facade photo per the applicant's submittal. Proposal is actually going to increase the square footage by 444 square feet. We have that the north wall that the applicant is trying to preserve is actually an existing nonconformity, and so any new additions are not allowed to either increase or go alongside with that nonconformity. That includes the vertical component of the second story, so that is also something that can't go within the 5-foot setback as demonstrated here. We have a floor plan, which was an existing floor plan from Zillow. Here we have the 5-foot setback. Since this is a corner property, the front setback is actually assessed on the narrow side of the two corners. So Spruce Street is going to be the front setback, even though the entrance is along 30th Street. We have the existing facade photo along with the elevation drawings for the west side, north side, the east side, and then the proposed south side. So again, we have the demolition plan, proposed roof plan, and then the floor plans for both the first floor and the second floor of the accessory structure. Staff has worked with the applicant to best retain the footprint and the walls of this accessory structure, even though it is in poor condition per the Secretary of Interior standards inside of our city's historic preservation ordinance. The intent is to preserve as much as possible, as opposed to just demolishing something, repairing a structure as opposed to demolishing it as well. We have the zoning and land development regulations table. There is a 3% bonus that is added to both lot coverage and FAR. However, those quantities aren't necessarily needed, as the lot coverage is 14.8% and 25.4%. They're well within, they comply with all of the aspects of our zoning and land development regulations from a quantitative standpoint, including the, as alluded to earlier in this presentation, the 5-foot setback for the side. The surrounding buildings analysis, the most pertinent ones are 1 through 4, and since this scope of work does entail an accessory structure, the primary structure is also a reference point in the surrounding buildings. So staff is recommending approval with conditions, and this is more along the lines of completeness of the application, providing more specific details, with the exception of number 4, which is actually a design comment per this latest submittal. So the frames for all windows and doors should be the same product as approved from a previous HPB case. This is from 2020 for the primary structure. We have that the muntin shall not be flat. They should have some external dimension, so either OG or pyramidal is acceptable. Staff does find that the wrought iron post and railings might convey a more contemporary look, and so we've imposed a condition for them to have some kind of spindles, so that way they could, not be so contemporary looking, so that they don't, present this false sense of historicity alongside with being compatible, and it should read as a new addition. This could be a more specific detailed drawing of the balcony that can be requested after the COA case. We have the applicable codes, which are the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation, and the additional criteria for new construction and alterations. With that, that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
I have a question for Mr. Bonner. I think it was your last sentence or two that said you're requesting to rebuild it in its totality. But the drawings show
Yes,
something otherwise.
I think that's taking wrong. You're correct. We would like to repair the walls that we're trying to keep, if possible.
You'd like to, or you are? 'Cause
Currently, with the way that I have understood with staff, is that that request would be a complete demolition, which would be a different scenario.
And that's not part of this application?
That's correct.
Great.
Question for the applicant. So the second floor addition, the intention is that that's wood framed?
We haven't talked about that, but yes, we're probably going to need to be wood framed. We'd like to build the whole thing out of concrete block, to be quite honest.
Well, I almost feel like we have to, like, if you're going to intend to keep the wood framing below, I don't think you can do it otherwise.
I agree.
Well, we can because
that the wood framing is maintained all the way through the construction.
well, the
Because
thing.
even if you differ, and even, let's say, for example, there's one wall you can do in concrete just because it worked out that that wall wasn't saved, you're going to have differential expansion and contraction. So if the intention is to save the wood framing of the original house, I would say a condition would have to be, the whole thing has to be wood framed.
Even though I could construct it, I mean, the reality is that because of the 5-foot setback, that 3-foot wall that's in the existing setback is not going to have any structure on it. It's going to remain as is. I could build the second floor, that whole box, the new structure in concrete block without interfering with those walls.
I just think I think you'd be compromising the integrity of the envelope if you started mixing construction materials. I think that's something that has to be really studied. I'm actually trying to like wrap my head around what's being kept and what's not being kept. But I almost feel like this whole thing, yeah. If the intention is to save existing walls, I almost think we have to say the whole thing has to be wood framed. Question for staff. The stucco finish, I feel like there was a previous application from like earlier this year that actually gave stucco examples. Am I making that up?
Yes, there was a property, I believe it's, and I may be mistaken, but I do know that it's on Claremore Drive. I may be getting the numbers incorrectly, but maybe 329 Claremore Drive did have this nice stucco texture to it that it had a lot of variety behind, not just, having smooth, singular lines, but it actually have this sort of hodgepodge of texture where just, you have the horizontal, the vertical, diagonal, so it seems to be.
Is that what's on the main house?
I believe, further looking at that. It does seem to have some sort of jaggedness to it, so.
Yeah, that's actually a good one. I feel like I want to give a name to that besides just saying, because the thing is, the problem with you specifying troweling, then you get actual trowel marks. Then it looks like somebody put jimmies on the side of the house and painted over them.
Caleb, you could change that condition to just match the existing structure.
I would say at least match the finish of the house.
Or the primary structure, yes.
Yeah.
What condition is changing?
The stucco finish?
The last condition just described the textured stucco differently.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's condition number 5.
The intent is similar. We're just trying to provide more clarity.
Yeah.
Okay. Additional questions? Okay. Is there any public comment on this case? All right. Seeing none, would the applicant like a short rebuttal? Okay. Then we'll move into executive session.
My thoughts were the same as Caleb's as far as the finish, but also the change on the front of the garage for the windows, it feels like very artsy and crafts to me and not at all Mediterranean. It looks much more modern in finish.
I agree. That was my my concern. That used to be a garage. Now the entrance is from the side, and they are trying to mimic the existing doors with something that is not really appropriate, in my opinion. So I don't know what the option would be.
Yeah, in the past, when we've removed garage doors at that location, there was still like a garage door that just became fixed, and then like you drywalled the interior. I think there may have been an instance where that detail was done differently, but I can't remember a situation. I mean, I know every case is a case-by-case basis, but just for a little bit of background for the board.
Yeah, I mean, probably the doors can be kept and frame inside if they or
Basically
or relocate them to the new position.
Yeah, you could basically create a recess, right, in that opening that currently exists.
Well, and those garage doors are part of the new addition.
So is there an executive session? And they're discussing
So it's like, it's creating something that was.
Caleb, is your microphone on?
Yeah.
Okay, will you just speak into it a little bit more? I couldn't hear you.
Sorry, so those garage door openings, those are part of the addition. Those aren't original. Am I reading that right?
You are right. So the garage doors are being removed, and then something is being built in a different position.
Right.
To mimic the old garage doors.
Right.
I think that.
So that is what we were saying, that maybe the answer is to reuse those doors, put them in the new addition, and build a wall inside, and in that way the look of the garage remains, because it's facing the street, right?
Right.
Okay, I mean, I'll just weigh in as well. I think the constructability, Caleb, that you were speaking to, I agree. I mean, the separation of materials between trying to build things kind of half out of one material and half out of another in this circumstance, I think would just lead to greater demolition than is intended in this application, per what's drawn. Okay, so we have some conditions that are from staff. It sounds like we may want to add another condition. Regarding the original location of the garage doors.
Do you think
And we
that
have nobody has any issues with the heights or the eaves of the second-story addition? Not that I have any, I'm just bringing it up.
No.
I feel like that should be a condition that they match the original as well.
The original beam heights?
Well, I think they're doing that as a matter of course. I'm saying like the eave details should match the original on both second story addition and first story addition. Which looks like what they're doing. I feel like it needs to be said.
Caleb, are you still our alternate right now?
Say again?
Are you our alternate right now, or are you voting tonight? So you can
Question.
make motions.
Okay, I guess so. Okay, so then so we're changing condition 5 to the stucco shall match main house. Adding a 6th condition for
He's an
all
alternate,
additions.
I think. He's an alternate, I think. No?
I can't hear you guys.
He's an alternate, I think. It's listed as an alternate.
Oh, but he's voting, the board secretary just said that he's voting.
He
tonight,
is
so
voting
can-
tonight because Gerald is not present.
Okay.
I was counting the board members to see how many we had. Okay. Caleb, you were talking about the
Yeah, this
garage door opening.
The 6th condition, all new construction shall be wood to match original house. Not original house, original structure.
Shall be frame construction.
Existing, 7 should be existing garage doors shall be reused. On west elevation addition. And all eaves shall match original. All eave details. Just looking for the
Caleb,
motion.
there's language in your blue
On the blue
book.
one?
Yep, for this one. Yep, so this is additions and alterations, and it looks like it's not an ad valorem, but it's this first one in your book.
Okay, so that's like the first one.
Yep, first one, and then if conditions are opposed below it, and then the conditions you read after that.
Okay, I move that the Historic Preservation Board approve application number 25-54 for alterations and additions in accordance with standards 9 through 10 as set forth in section 94-49 of the city's zoning and land development regulation. The motion is based on the testimony presented along with the application submitted and the staff report, which constitutes competent substantial evidence. In addition, the approval of this request is made conditional upon the following restrictions, stipulations, and/or safeguards that I move are necessary to ensure compliance with the purpose and intent of the Historic Preservation Ordinance, historic preservation element of the comprehensive plan of the city of West Palm Beach, and the Secretary's interior standards for rehabilitation, specifically standards 9 and 10, and the additional compatibility criteria set forth in section 94-49 of the city's zoning and land development regulations, specifically specifically which state and which ones are they? Just 1 through 9? Yeah, 9 and 10. Yeah. The conditions include the following. One,
And you do not need to read all the conditions. I would just reference the conditions contained in the staff report, and then,
oh, yeah, yeah.
and then I would read 5
Yeah,
and the
I'll-
additional 6.
Yeah, so, which include the following 1 through 4 in the staff report, 5, which shall be rewritten. The stucco of the addition shall match the stucco finish of the main house. 6, all new construction for the addition shall be wood to match the original construction. 7, the existing garage doors shall be reused on the west elevation addition. And 8, all eave details shall match the original structure.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. You are approved. Thank you. Our next case is case 25-55 for 421 28th Street. If we could have the applicant presentation.
Good evening. Kevin Rhodes, Rhodes Remodeling, the contractor. It's for an accessory structure of about 623 square feet off the main house, separated. This is the existing structure, the existing house from the street view on 28th Street. This is the new pool that was constructed, and to the right is where we proposed a new structure. This is a rendering of what the structure would look like. The plan with the setbacks within the 5 feet. We are meeting all the required setbacks. The floor plan, which would show a bedroom, a bath, and a kitchenette. Elevations. The roof will match the existing roof on the existing house, which is shingle, asphalt shingle. That would be it.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Have the staff report.
Anthony Mendez, Historic Preservation Planner, speaking as the case manager for HPB 2555. The request is for new construction of an accessory structure at the property of 421 28th Street. As different from typical requests for additions and alterations, where you would want the additions to read as new work, but yet the structure to identify it still as contributing. For new construction, you would want the new work in the new structure to read as a non-contributing structure within the historic district, which in this case is Old Northwood. It's in single family, 14 context 3, constructed circa 1949, the minimal traditional style. The applicant is requesting a complete new construction of approximately 623 square feet accessory structure that's to be situated at the rear of the property. Here we have an existing image at this particular moment of what the rear looks like, and with his rendering provided. Here is the site plan with the zoning and land development regulations table to show that lot coverage is now going to be 1,828 square feet. FAR is now switched to 2,182 square feet. The applicant is eligible for the special exception bonus, and that would apply to both lot coverage and FAR, and make the final quantities of 34% and 54%. So here is the elevation drawings along with the proposed roof plan as provided with our applicant. Roof plan alongside the floor plan, along with a section drawing and our surrounding buildings analysis, which show that all 4 properties are contributing, and while they are not in the minimal traditional style, 427 28th Street is in the vernacular style, so there is some context and some reference within the language of surrounding buildings per additional criteria for new construction and alterations. And staff is recommending approval with conditions. We'll go through some of them with finer detail. When reviewing this application, staff did find that the roof pitch was way too tall in comparison with the primary structure. So as proposed in the drawing set is 6/12. Probably, just eyeballing it, this is probably at most 5/12. So we did impose a condition to change the roof pitch. The eave width as well was one of the things that we found was also striking in comparison with the primary structure. The window surrounds as well, and we've attached photos of a previous HPB case, and we see that the surrounds are not as thick and not as prevalent, and we see this sort of like punched out window appearance per the photographs provided in a previous HPB case. We also noticed sliding doors, so we wanted to impose a condition to change them to be French doors. The same thing goes with consistencies with the previous HPB approval. So this applies to windows 103, 104, and 106 for them to have an approximate dimension of 37 by 50 and to have this sort of 8-light casement configuration from, again, a previous HPB case. So this was 2140, so this is from 2021. So the same thing goes with window 107 to have a 2 by 10 square frame, and we've attached an image for reference. So the applicable codes are the Secretary of Interior Standards for Rehabilitation and the additional criteria for new construction and alterations. So with that, that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
I saw that there is a cooktop in the accessory structure. Is that correct? Can the accessory structure have a cooking?
Yes, it can. It would qualify as an additional unit. So it would go from, I believe, from 1 unit to 2 units per this new construction.
But it's allowed and it's conformance. So,
yes.
Okay.
Did staff recommend or make a judgment call on the hip roof of the accessory structure versus the gable configuration of the main structure?
So it was the pitch of the roof, which was the primary concern. Right. However, we found that the proposed roof shape was a good way to sort of distinguish this accessory structure and make it read as non-contributing as opposed to the primary structure. So let's see if we can go back to a slide to actually show this differentiation. We find that the roof shape, taking into account the change in roof pitch, would actually read, make the structure read as a non-contributing structure.
So the intention that the hip roof help it read as non-contributing.
Yes.
Can you, I'm sorry, and if everybody knows this, why does it need to read as non-contributing?
So essentially, when a district is surveyed, there are elements of structures that are contributing, and it's basically tied within a period of significance. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that a period of significance for a district is 1925 to 1950. Mm-hmm. Once we actually can ascertain that features have been built within that time frame, if there is enough integrity within those character-defining features, they are identified as contributing structures.
No, I understand that, but why does it need to read as non-contributing?
Would you say it's standard 9?
Yes, standard 9, essentially. If you were to go back, yes, the new work, so this structure is essentially all new work. It does need to be differentiated from the old. What the old work is the contributing structures within the Old Northwood Historic District.
So it's required to look like it's not historic?
Well, we want to differentiate.
Yeah, we want to differentiate the new and old, but yet we want to, we want this work to be compatible with the contributing primary structure. So you want to find that nice balance. I know.
Yeah, I don't get that, but.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need to differentiate old from new per the Secretary of Interior standards. The level of differentiation is what we're discussing, right? You wouldn't
Yes.
want some, I mean, this kind of goes into like preservation theory, right? Is to like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the discussion, you know, specifically for this instance is the level of differentiation, right? So for this project, we have a differentiation of the roof. We have, and the roof type. We have differentiation of the soffit detail. Staff has a condition about the width and depth, but it's like flat at the soffit versus being raked like the rest of the structure. You have the water table, which is also differentiation. So I think those are the things that we kind of need to look at, like the level of differentiation that is appropriate. Does that help, Peg?
Yeah, no, it does.
Follow-up to that, is this perhaps the differentiating decision as well? The windows of the main house, are they white? Because it calls for an anodized silver for the new construction.
Yes, that is correct. So it's per condition 8.
And the request to have them be anodized was to help differentiate?
Wait a second. Trying to see. Don't have the documentation, but that was the intent behind that condition, yes.
Mr. Mendez, the applicant is aware of all the conditions you're proposing?
I did send the applicant an email, just as for all cases that staff sends. They send these staff reports the Friday before an HPB meeting. So the applicant is made aware of these conditions.
I need to turn my microphone on. It looks like the windows on the primary structure, I'm just looking at images that are available online. It looks like they may be the original metal windows.
Okay.
And I'm just wondering if that played into like your anodized condition at all? Because it looks like they are painted metal.
Sure. So attachment X is the window and door schedule from HPB 2140. So that was the window and door replacement application for the primary structure. And it did replace the original steel casements with new aluminum impact casements with a clear anodized finish.
Okay, thank you.
And Anthony had mentioned a little bit earlier that you know, the windows in the accessory structure as proposed are kind of vertically oriented. The lights go vertical. So one of the conditions was to change the window sizes down to that 8 light size to further to add compatibility between the two buildings.
Excellent. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, do we have additional questions of staff? Or the applicant? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into public comment. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this case? All right, seeing none, I cannot see the applicant from where I am, but would you like a rebuttal? Nope. Nope.
He says no.
All right, thank you. We will move into executive session.
I don't have any concerns as presented and with the conditions.
Can you say that again?
I don't have any concerns. I think the conditions address some of my concerns. So
Staff's conditions.
Staff
And you're
conditions.
good with the other things that were discussed?
Yeah.
As you're okay with just using staff's conditions, okay?
I would like to tweak a little bit of that, only because I understand the differentiation comment, but I almost don't want to make that as an excuse to do something that doesn't look like it goes with the house at all.
100% agree.
The gable versus hip, that argument's, maybe I can see where that could go. I would like to see pitched outlookers to match the front, even if at the low pitch, because then it just looks like a completely modern house. Like the water table doesn't really go with anything. I would like to see that removed completely. And I would like to see the windows try to match the house, which looks like they have sills, but they don't have surrounds. So those are all just amendments to the conditions that are there. Like if I had my like if I was designing this new, I'd probably design it with a gable, but I can see maybe trying that differentiation. But I would say 2 eaves to match that porch, but also with pitched outlookers and match the depth. The windows shall have like number 3, they shall have punched openings, but with sills. And then I guess I would add another condition just to remove that, the water table out of coral stone, because it doesn't really go with anything.
Well, Caleb, it sounds like you're ready to make another motion.
Okay. Unless anybody else has any other comments. Okay.
I guess the question is, are still compliant with differentiation if we
leave it as a hip?
If we make those changes?
I would say yes, because you're keeping a different roof type, right?
Right.
You're still keeping the hip roof as opposed to the gable. So that in and of itself is a differentiation.
Perfect.
Okay. I move that the Historic Preservation Board approve application number 25-55 for new construction in accordance with standards 9 and 10 as set forth in section 94-49 of the city's zoning and land development regulations. The motion is based on the testimony presented along with the application submitted and the staff report, which constitute competent substantial evidence. In addition, the approval of this request is made conditional upon the following restrictions, stipulations, and/or safeguards that I move are necessary to ensure compliance with the purpose and intent of the Historic Preservation Ordinance, the historic preservation element of the comprehensive plan of the City of West Palm Beach, the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation, specifically standards 9 and 10, which state, and additional compatibility criteria set forth in section 94-49 of the city's zoning and land development regulations, specifically criteria 9 and 10. The conditions include the following 1 through 9 of the staff report, excepting 2 shall be amended to say the eave width and depth of the proposed accessory structure shall match the front porch of the existing primary structure with pitched outlookers. 3, the window surrounds shall be removed to match the punched openings on the existing primary structures with sills. And I guess we'll add condition 10, the coral stone water table shall be removed.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you and congratulations. Our next case is case 25-56 for 245 Grayman Drive.
Yeah, my name is Bruce Corrin. I'm applying for a Class B special exemption permit to put a swimming pool at 245 Grayman Drive in West Palm Beach in Southland Park behind a totally enclosed 6-foot wall, so the pool will not be visible to any foot or car traffic. And I'm going to let Ann take it from here.
Ann Volsey again for the record. This is HPB case number 25-56 for a Class B special use permit. So it's so the existing structure on site is a new structure, which came before you in 2018. The permit was finalized in 2021. It is located in the Prospect Southland Park Historic District. It is 0.13 acres in SF14C3, and the use is single-family residential. The request is for a 16-foot waiver to encroach within the front setback with the pool, and also a landscape, a reduced landscape within the front yard from 75%. They're proposing 54.93%, which would mean that they were going to have a 20.07 reduction. Here is their final as-built survey, which shows the garage on the east side, the two-story residence in the middle, and their side yard, which is by the code their front yard. They're using to have, their garden and the proposed pool and deck area. Here is a site plan, and in red dashed rectangle shows the location of the pool. And staff finds that this request complies with the general special use standards, the specific use standards, the residential district standards, and additional standards, and the planning and zoning, zoning and land development regulations, and therefore staff is recommending approval with conditions. And the conditions of approval are that the visibility at the intersection of South Olive and Grayman shall be unobstructed. The front yard landscape area cannot be further reduced without board approval. The existing 6-foot high wall within the front yard shall be maintained, effectively screening the pool area from public view, and the applicant shall ensure that all pool equipment meets setback requirements for mechanical equipment. And that concludes staff presentation.
Thank you. Questions to staff or the applicant? No. Thank you.
I do, actually. Are there any zoning issues with the outdoor shower?
That was not part of the Class B request. The Class B request is just for the pool.
All right, so that the outdoor shower shown in this is not part of this application at all?
No.
Okay.
No. So that would be a separate permit, but I'm not sure if the applicant wanted to.
No, that's not an issue. I mean,
would you want to have the outdoor shower? Or?
No,
because that's a
doesn't
separate.
have to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to do this again. So.
It's not part of this.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak on this case? Seeing none, we move into executive session.
Thank you.
I'm prepared to make a motion if there's any, if there's no discussion to be had.
Go for it.
Great.
There are two motions, and they are in the packet, right?
Okay, I see one.
There is one for granting the waivers or denying the waiver, and the other one is for granting the special use permit.
Gabriel, I'm on page 200 of the package, and I thought that encompassed both.
Do you guys have a slide with what needs to be?
But I do have the staff report.
It's 213, it's page 213, and 214 or 215, I believe.
Okay. Just for a side note, for similarity and compatibility, I think there's a same condition catty corner on the opposite side of the intersection at 300 Grandmont Drive with the pool in the front yard. In any case, I move that Historic Preservation Board grant the waiver for Historic Preservation Board case number 2556 as listed in the staff report dated September 30th, 2025. The motion is based upon the testimony presented at the hearing along with the application presented and the staff report, which constitute competent substantial evidence. The board hereby makes findings of fact that all applicable criteria in section 94-273A2 of the City of West Palm Beach zoning and land development regulations have been met.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And then I also move that the Historic Preservation Board grants Historic Preservation Board case number 2556, a request by Bruce Corin for Class B special use permit with 2 waiver requests from section 94-304E2 of the zoning and land development regulations at 245 Graymont Drive to allow for the construction of an accessory swimming pool. The motion is based upon the testimony presented along with the application submitted in the staff report, which constitute competent substantial evidence. The board hereby makes findings of fact that each of the criteria in Article 2, Section 9436E3 and 4 and 5 have been met.
Second.
There are conditions.
Oh, you have the condition.
In addition, the granting of the Class B special use permit is made conditional upon the restrictions, stipulations, and/or safeguards. Melissa, just the 4 unmodified in the staff memo is sufficient, or would you like me to read all 4?
You do not need to read them. You can just refer to them.
Okay. And the 4 conditions of approval of the staff report, which will remain unaltered.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Case approved. Now we move to the next case, 25-63 and 1025 Paseo Andorra. Can we have the presentation from the applicant?
I don't believe the applicant's here.
Okay. So we proceed with the case and you do the application,
Yeah,
the
be happy
presentation
to.
for
Thank you.
staff? Thank you.
I'm just curious, did you know they weren't good? Or-
No, I'd been in pretty close contact with them, and then kind of this week, they just kind of fell off
Okay.
and stopped responding.
Did they have a presentation they were going to get? I'm just curious.
Nothing was provided.
Okay, let's go forward.
They were like
and-
told the meeting date, submit presentation materials by this time.
Right,
It's just-
all right,
Okay.
let's just move forward.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. And Jordan Hodges, City Historic Preservation Planner for the record. This is HPB case 2563, and it is a application for a PVC fence at 1025 Paseo Andorra. The applicants are requesting the installation of approximately 180 linear feet of 6-foot-high white PVC fencing, 180 linear feet of 4-foot-high white PVC fencing, 1 4-foot-wide human gate, and 1 20-foot-wide pair of drive gates. The application is zoning compliant in terms of fence placement and height within the setbacks. They are proposing, if you look on the survey there, they are proposing 4 feet high on the 2 street fronting sides with a 20/20 visibility triangle, a human gate on Paseo Andorra, and then the vehicular gates on Paseo Andalusia, and then a 6-foot high privacy fence along the 2 lot lines outlined in green. Okay, and here you can see the property is a corner lot with primary frontage, again, on Paseo Andorra to the south and secondary side frontage to Paseo Andalusia to the west. The property currently maintains a chain link fence around the perimeter of the lot. And here you can see views, again, from the front and the corner. And here you can see a side view from Paseo Andalusia at their driveway. So the applicants are requesting a vertical board panel fence. It is made out of white PVC. Design-wise, it uses vertical boards with horizontal top and bottom rails and decorative finials. The fence will be, again, between 4 feet and 6 feet high, depending on its placement. These are the proposed gates. They generally match the design of the panels with vertical boards and horizontal rails. Again, white PVC, opaque fencing. As for the surrounding kind of neighborhood characteristics, mostly post-war masonry ranch buildings. The structures, most of the structures depicted here, indicated around the property, do have privacy fencing predominantly to the rear, but it is all wood. Here you can see the arrow on the left where the proposed white PVC fence is. That is the subject property. And then existing wood fence at 1036 Van Deventer. And then if you look all the way in the back, it's not depicted in an arrow, but you can see another privacy fence to the rear, also in wood. These are the applicable code section, but staff has found the application inconsistent with the additional criteria number 7, which regards the relationship of materials and textures. Polyvinyl chloride products are generally not permitted within the city's historic districts due to their modern appearance, synthetic nature, and incompatibility with traditional building materials. To preserve the historic integrity and visual harmony of the districts, materials that were used historically or materials that mimic them in form and finish are required for an administrative approval. PVC generally has kind of a slick, uniform, modern appearance that lacks the texture, craftsmanship, and patina of traditional fence materials like wood or metal. Wood and metal are both still, widely available fence materials, so staff believes that that's a better substitute. The criteria also says simplicity in use is preferable. PVC panels, the PVC panels and gates are manufactured to kind of replicate the overall design of a wood fence. So if simplicity is preferred, we just recommend a wood fence in this application. So staff is recommending denial due to the use of the PVC product, but should the board make findings that the request does comply with the additional criteria, staff would recommend that the board consider conditions of approval to increase compatibility, like maybe some landscape screening along Paseo Andorra and Paseo Andalusia. That concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Questions to staff?
Would staff consider just like a standard wood picket panel fence as option, and that's pretty cost effective?
Yep. Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter if it's pressure treated or otherwise, it just can be.
Yes, you can get an administrative approval for that, for wood fencing.
Thank you. Anyone in the public that wish to speak on this case?
I'm not actually the homeowner of that property.
My name is Nicholas Prendez. I am me and my wife own that property.
Wait, can you elaborate when you say you own that property?
The 1025 Paseo Endora is our property. We own that. Sorry, our fencing contractor isn't here tonight. We have,
So you are the applicant?
yeah, my wife, her
Oh,
name
okay.
is
Gotcha.
on the, well, we're the owners. So on the actual paperwork, it said applicant was our fencing contractor, so I didn't know if I was able to speak
Oh, sure.
on that
Absolutely,
behalf.
yeah.
But PVC is kind of what we want, just from a visual standpoint. It looks way better than wood. It's easier to maintain than wood. We are gonna, we would comply with the 4 foot around, code, everything there's fine. There is also other PVC fences in our neighborhood. I know on that presentation that was given, it didn't really show, but there is other properties in our neighborhood that have that. Wood, the price difference between the wood and the PVC was minimal, but to maintain that wood for us was not really a realistic thing. The PVC is a lot easier to maintain. As opposed like the metal sheet, the sheet that they have, that's, I feel like, a very easy material to damage, and it would cost on that alone would, I feel like would be redoing it a lot. So I just think from a visual standpoint, when you pull into our neighborhood, we're one of the first houses, I think, on that corner lot, and with it having that PVC, I think it would just look a lot better from a visual standpoint. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for letting me speak.
Of course. Anyone else? Seeing none, we move into executive session.
I understand what he's saying about maintenance. I mean, to me, if it's properly landscaped and you can't really see it, I don't have a problem with it.
Well, I kind of disagree. I mean, yeah, I think PVC degrades over time. Also, painted fences, the cost of maintenance is pretty minimal. And if as the applicant said, the cost between PVC and a wood fence was pretty minimal. It'd be one thing if you told me like it was 3 times the cost. There'd be different considerations, of course. Then there's the additional cost of landscaping to hide the PVC, which is harder to, and actually landscaping isn't our purview either. I mean, this one's kind of cut and dry in my opinion. I feel for the applicant, but I would also disagree that PVC even looks good at all. It never looks good. It looks fake, and that's why the board takes the position that PVC materials like PVC aren't allowed in historic districts.
Thank you. Any other opinion? I mean, I kind of agree with him. We usually we don't allow PVC fences in historic neighborhoods. And your property is a historic your property. So I don't know what the rest of the board's opinion is. I don't know if somebody is ready to make a motion or not. But
I'm going to make a motion in alignment with staff's recommendation for denial.
Okay.
I move that Historic Preservation Board deny application 2563 for new construction. The motion is based upon the testimony presented, along with the staff report, that competent substantial evidence of record has not been submitted that satisfied the standards set forth in the Historic Preservation Ordinance, Section 9449 of the City Zoning and Land Development Regulations, Secretariat of Interior Standards for Rehabilitation, Standards 9 and 10, and the additional criteria set forth in the Historic Preservation Ordinance.
is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? The motion carries. The application is denied. Now we move to the next case, 25-67 in 1420 North Sapodilla Avenue. I want to ask a question about this before we start. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 applications, right? I don't know. There are 6 applications from the same applicant? 5?
Yep.
So do we need to go one by one? I don't know if they are similar or
Different houses.
they are all different. Okay. So we go in five different cases. Then.
Yeah, it'll need to be 5 and 5 separate motions.
No, motions, yes.
Oh, okay.
But because they are, I think that there are 2 that are the same design.
Yeah, I'll get to that when we get to that one and hopefully condense things a little bit.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Because this is new construction, the applicant can have, so what are we going to do? Are we going to take the 5 different cases, or are we going to let?
We're not gonna go through the 5 presentations.
Okay.
So-
The second one that is, similar to the first one, will condense it.
Yeah, the first one here is its own independent design.
Okay.
The 2 that follow are similar, and the 2 that follow are similar. So
Okay.
I think once we get this one out of the way, we can kind of,
Gotcha. Okay, and because it's new construction, they get 15 minutes to present.
Good evening. My name is Tara Oakler. I am the Chief Operating Officer at Habitat for Humanity of Greater Palm Beach County. I'm here with Jennifer Gardner, who is our construction administrator. We are here to propose the construction of a single-family home, a new residence at 1420 North Sapodilla Avenue. This home is in the Northwest District. Our proposal for this home is approximately 1,600 square feet on a currently vacant lot. This home will be built in partnership with a qualified family through the Habitat for Humanity program. They will be issued a zero-interest mortgage to purchase this home. We are pleased to present 5 opportunities for new home ownership for first-time home buyers in the Northwest District. You can see from some of these photos that many of the lots on this block and in the surrounding areas are currently vacant. This shows the corner lot where the home will be constructed and the placement of the home on the lot. This home is it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. It's a simple, safe, affordable home for a new family. We have worked with the staff, and they have provided great direction for us to make sure that this home will fit in with the neighborhood and is compatible in this area. We are aware of all of the conditions that have been proposed and will make all of those changes and accommodations. And I think that is it for me.
Thank you. Staff presentation now.
okay, great. Again, Jordan Hodges, City Historic Preservation Planner for the record. So I'm going to start just briefly kind of talking about the Northwest District and the kind of area that this is in the Northwest District. So the Northwest District is bordered by 15th Street to the north, Tamarin to the west, 2nd Avenue to the south, and then North Rosemary to the east. And this neighborhood established itself really early on in the 19-teens as really the center of West Palm Beach's African-American community with residential streets and thriving commercial corridors. The building traditions in the early days were developed largely of frame shotguns and 1- and 2-bedroom frame vernacular buildings. And you can see a picture there of some of those frame vernaculars under construction. Here you can see some of those shingle-style shotguns with broad covered porches and some two-story frame vernacular buildings with lap siding in the rear. A lot of these structures were unfortunately lost in the 1926 hurricane. But in the late 1920s, the neighborhood did start to see more masonry vernacular structures, or I'm sorry, masonry and frame vernacular, as well as some more ornate Mission Mediterranean Revival style buildings. And then in the post-war period, we see a lot of masonry multifamily construction and some new single families in various architectural styles. As evidenced in staff memos for the 5 projects in the Northwest District, this area has seen a lot of demolition and lot clearing over the years. Sanborn fire insurance maps from the 1920s through the 1950s show a much more densely populated neighborhood. The current parcel outlined in red, you can see used to have 3 separate dwelling units on it. And the map on the right side is the current map of the same block, showing contributing buildings in blue and non-contributing in red. Okay, so like I said, this is the first of 5 applications. This one is on 1420 North Sapodilla, which is a corner lot of Sapodilla and 14th. You can see it there highlighted in yellow. And again, it is a 6,650 square foot standard lot for the neighborhood. It's been vacant since 2001. And I won't spend a lot of time going over this as the applicant already has, but we've talked about the site plan. So the elevations that were submitted, single story masonry construction, covered front porch, hip on hip roof, aluminum impact windows, but very minimally detailed. So what staff and the applicant had a very productive meeting and talked about, kind of giving this structure a style to adhere to. And just due to the massing, the kind of organization of the fenestration, staff recommended looking at frame vernacular buildings, specifically because that's what was most popular in the neighborhood. So we looked at the window detailing, the kind of groupings of windows, the continuous sills, the lap siding, the fenestration arrangements and divided light arrangements. And what staff has recommended for approval is to essentially keep the massing and the form of the building, which was already kind of baked in the cake, and redetailing the structure. So here staff has requested a lap siding, either in a applied stucco or a cementitious board. This neighborhood actually has its own architectural overlay standards, which are explained in the staff memo, but there's requirements for group windows to have a full inch or a 4-inch mullion or post, for grouped windows to have sills, for windows to be recessed a minimum of 2 inches in the facade. I think these were a lot of Fredericisms that made their way into the code in this neighborhood, which is good. They're all nice things to have. But we've just included some general post and beam detailing on the porch, corner boards. As far as the surrounding building analysis, as you can see here, there's several buildings that look like this, that have been approved in the past. Items 1 and 2. Items 3 is a contributing building in the district, and then number 5 is a contributing building. But as you can see, there are some vacant adjacent lots. Applicable code criteria. Again, you have the additional criteria, the Secretary of Interior standards, and then those Coleman Park overlay standards. So staff has recommended approval. Essentially, all of the conditions of approval would arrive at this structure, which staff would be willing to work with the applicant to get the drawings to that part or to that level by permitting. And that's all of staff's presentation.
Excellent, thank you so much. Questions to staff or the applicant?
I have a quick question. Are there any requirements for roof color or the siding color?
No, not on. I think what they're proposing for the roof is a light gray dimensional asphalt shingle. And you would have to, the applicants would have to ask about the body color of the building.
Jordan, it's a great presentation, very good staff memo. It says you met with the Habitat for Humanity team September 17th?
Yes.
When did you start?
Yeah, the second.
Wow. It's, for such a simple design, the improvements that you've made are very impressive.
Oh, thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Are these cosmetic changes, is it still going to be in stucco? Is that the intention?
So the intention is to where the applicant, it's kind of left open-ended to where the applicant can do it out of stucco or out of a cementitious board.
Okay. And are all these houses going to be CBS?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there anybody in the public that wish to speak on this case? Seeing none, we move to executive session.
This is more of a general comment, and I think it'll color some more of the conversations for the next 4 applications. First of all, I think this is a huge, like the staff editorial comments to the design are great. The other thing I see is, you know, as we go forward, not to make any stylistic changes too onerous, but I see them also as an opportunity to empower more skilled trades in our local community. I've seen so many houses that get cookie cuttered, and the details get cookie cuttered. And personally, I'd like to see this as an opportunity for, like, especially for, you know, a starter home and like developing the bottom end of the middle class, like encouraging opportunities for skilled trades to really learn and grow. So it'd be great if we could have more wood trim, more wood details, more skilled stucco work, which is greatly missing in this neighborhood and in this whole county, in this, you know, all of South Florida. I just see a great opportunity in every single one of these for just a burgeoning workforce that is, number one, is needed, but number two, helps people to learn a trade. I think this is great to see more of this. And so I'd like, you know, as we go through and make some sort of editorial comments as things go along, I'd like to keep that in mind. It's like every stylistic change is a opportunity as these houses get built. Because, you know, these houses are referencing a time in this country when the average American built their own home. The style references unprofessional skilled labor. And I think this could be the new, just a new opportunity to re-represent that.
Thank you. And I would like also to take the opportunity and thank the applicant that is willing to work with staff, you know, to make the right thing and the right moves and improve the design for these houses that are really needed. Anyone wants to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that I move that the Historic Preservation Board approve application number, this is 2567? Is that this one? Yep.
67, yep.
For new construction in accordance with the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation, specifically standards 9 and 10, as well as the additional compatibility criteria set forth in the Historic Preservation Ordinance, Section 9449C3 of the city's zoning land development regulations. The motion is based upon this testimony presented along with the application submitted and the staff report, which constitute competent substantial evidence. In addition, the approval of this request is made conditional upon the following restrictions, stipulations, and/or safeguards that I move are necessary to ensure compliance with the purpose and intent of the Historic Preservation Ordinance and the Historic Preservation element of the Comprehensive Plan of the City of West Palm Beach. Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation, standards 9 and 10. The additional compatibility criteria set forth in the Historic Preservation Ordinance, Section 9449C3, and the Section 94222B Coleman Park Overlay District. The conditions include the following 9 conditions identified in the staff report, unaltered. 11 conditions.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Everyone in agreement?
Yes. Aye.
Anyone oppose? Okay, the motion carries. Case approved. Next case is 25-62 in 605 13th Street.
Tara Oakler, Chief Operating Officer at Habitat for Humanity of Greater Palm Beach County, here to propose the development of a single-family home at 605 13th Street, complete new construction. This plan is actually one that we have built in the Historic Northwest District previously. This is our Ella model, and so in 2019, we had a joint venture with the West Palm Beach CRA to develop floor plans and incorporate the historic significance of this area. So this plan was named after Ella Fitzgerald, who was a singer, songwriter, and composer. Her significance to the Historic Northwest District were her performances in the Sunset Lounge. So this plan was designed to incorporate some of that historical significance of the community. So we did build this model back in 2019. One of them was located at 805 5th Street, which is very close to where we are proposing the construction of this property. It is slightly over 1,600 square feet. This is the proposed site and photos of the surrounding homes. Here is the view of the lot, an aerial view. This is the floor plan. This is a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. We also worked closely with the city staff. We are aware of all of the conditions recommended. We appreciate being able to incorporate some of these changes into the design to make sure that we can maintain that historical significance as well as fitting into the neighborhood. So we are appreciative to have the opportunity to work so closely with city staff and make some of these changes because we do believe that they have improved the design for the specific area. And that's it.
Thank you very much. We move to the staff report now.
Thank you again, Jordan Hodges, City Historic Preservation Planner for the record. So this starts this grouping. They are the same design architecturally at 605 13th Street and at 708 14th Street. You can see them here drawn in as items 2 and 3 on the map. So they are a block apart and on opposite sides of the street, so they won't be, viewed at the same time. This one in particular, this parcel has been vacant since 1997. This is the demolished structure. It was a frame vernacular building that had received a stucco application at some point in its history. Again, the site plan. These do have 6-foot-high privacy fences in the side that encompass the side and rear yards, front driveway. Like the Habitat representative said, this building has been built throughout this kind of context, this neighborhood before. So we've left this one mostly intact. This one already has kind of the flavor of a post-war masonry vernacular building. We have added conditions of approval to increase the amount of fenestration, to avoid kind of the long expanses of blank facade. This is the applicant's rendering. And again, so this is the kind of neighborhood streetscape, and you'll see all the kind of vacant parcels on this property. Item number 3, or building number 3, is kind of a similar shape and form. Item number 1 is older, but again, a similar shape and form. 2 is a church use, and number 4 is a 2-story structure. But as for the compatibility on the streetscape, we do think it complies. Again, the same code criteria and conditions of approval. So staff has recommended, because these are kind of a 1960s, with the decorative breeze block, the most kind of appropriate window we thought that you could turn a hung window into was kind of like a 4-light awning window. So we have done that, so it would be a horizontal 2/2 light, and then we've just added, additional windows on the side. Well, that's all staff has for these 6 conditions.
Thank you so much. Questions to the applicant or staff? No. I don't think that there is anyone in the public that wish to speak on this case. So we move to executive session.
I'm prepared to make a motion if there's no discourse. I move that Historic Preservation Board approve application number 2562 for new construction in accordance with the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation, specifically standards 9 and 10, as well as the additional compatibility criteria set forth in the city's Historic Preservation Ordinance, Section 9449-3 of the city zoning and land development regulations. The motion is based upon the testimony presented along with the application submitted in the staff report, which constitute competent substantial evidence. In addition, the approval of this request is made conditional upon the following restrictions, stipulations, and/or safeguards that I move are necessary to ensure compliance with the purpose and intent of the Historic Preservation Ordinance and the Historic Preservation element of the Comprehensive Plan of the City of West Palm Beach, Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation, specifically standards 9 and 10, the additional compatibility criteria set forth in the Historic Preservation Ordinance, Section 9449-3, and the Section 94-222H 1 through 11 of the Coleman Park Overlay Architectural Standards, conditions 1 through 6, as identified in the staff report, unaltered.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone oppose? No. Motion carries. Case approved. So the next case is exactly the same, or should we do a presentation, or?
Would you all like to do a set? It's the same house.
Should we
So
move?
I could,
Okay.
Actually, he needs to go ahead.
okay.
Okay,
I'll just
so,
put it up.
okay, so we move to case 25-66, 708 14th Street, and we are going to hear staff report.
Oh, no. Again, Jordan Hodges for the record. This is case 2562, new construction at 605 13th. Oh, sorry, that was my bad. Yeah, this is correct, 708 14th Street. Where is that? So this is going to be the furthest project west on 14th Street. This one actually had a really great little frame vernacular with kind of a integral recessed porch. Something happened in 2001. Almost half of these structures were just kind of wiped out in 2001, and I don't know if that was like a city-led project or what, but it seemed like a lot of these buildings were demolished at that point in time. Same lot configuration, one-car garage up front, 6-foot-high privacy fence to the rear. Again, same elevations, the kind of post-war masonry vernacular. Same renderings with the decorative block porch. Surrounding context is pretty similar on this one. Structures 3 and 6 have roughly the same shape. Number 5, you do have a contributing mission revival building. 4 is very similar, and then number 1, you have another contributing but 2-story masonry building. Again, same criteria, which staff finds compatible. Staff recommendations of approval 1 through 6, and again, kind of the implementation of those conditions.
Excellent. All right, so questions, I think that.
I have, do any of the subsequent applications have gables?
It depends on how you decide on the following ones, but yes. Sorry.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
So we go to an executive session. Well, I don't see that. I don't think that anybody in public would like to speak. You are the only one, sir, so I don't know if you would like to speak on this case, but otherwise we go to executive session.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to approve the project. I move that Historic Preservation Board approve application number 2566 for new construction in accordance with the Secretary of Interior standards 9 and 10, as well as the additional compatibility criteria. Additional compatibility criteria set forth in the Historic Preservation Ordinance, Section 9449(3) of the City Zoning and Land Development Regulations. The motion is based upon the testimony presented, along with the application submitted in the staff report, which constitute competent substantial evidence. In addition, the approval of this request is made conditional upon the following restrictions, stipulations, and/or safeguards that I move are necessary to ensure compliance with the purpose and intent of the Historic Preservation Ordinance and the Historic Preservation element of the Comprehensive Plan of the City of West Palm Beach. Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation, specifically standards 9 and 10, the additional compatibilities criteria set forth in the Historic Preservation Ordinance, Section 9449(3) of the City Zoning and Land Development Regulations, and the additional criteria, Section 94222H 1 through 11 of the Coleman Park Overlay Architectural Standards, specifically conditions 1 through 6, Reference from the staff report, unaltered.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No, motion carries. Okay, now we move on to case 25-64, 611 14th Street. And we are gonna hear the applicant presentation, please.
Thank you again. Tara Oakler, Habitat for Humanity of Greater Palm Beach County. We are proposing the construction of a single-family home at 611 14th Street in the Northwest District. So this is the fun one that might spark some conversation. So this is a home that was also previously constructed in the Northwest District. It was constructed in 2019. And this is referred to as the Augustus model. This was also a joint partnership with the CRA, and we did some research into the historical figures of the area. And so Hazel Augustus was one of the first architects recognized in this area and contributed significantly to some historic buildings. So when this model was designed, we took into account some of the features that Hazel Augustus used in his building, and specifically for his own home, which unfortunately is no longer standing. So this home is a 1,600 square foot home. We have incorporated arches into the front design on the front porch. This home was previously constructed at 801 5th Street, and that is right in the same area as the proposed new construction. So as you can see, some of these are repeat pictures from previous presentations, but there are a lot of vacant lots in this area, and we are happy to be contributing to the affordable housing opportunities in West Palm Beach. This is the aerial photo. This is also a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. And here's a better picture of the front elevation to see the arches that have been incorporated into the design. I would like to take this moment to say that we are open to feedback and looking at the conditions that were presented by staff and any additional recommendations that the board has. I do also want to take this moment to share that all of the future homeowners for these 5 properties have demonstrated the ability to repay a 30-year interest-free mortgage. They have shown the need for safe, decent, and affordable housing and the willingness to partner with Habitat for Humanity and the City of West Palm Beach by helping to build their homes and the homes of their neighbors. So we, again, are just grateful for the opportunity to be here and working in collaboration. This project would not be made possible without partnerships. These lots were donated to Habitat by the Urban League of Palm Beach County, and there is some contributions financially through the Housing Department. So it's really just been a great experience for us to be here with the city. Back since 2019, we haven't really been active in this area, so being able to come back into the city of West Palm Beach and help contribute to the mayor's mission for affordable housing opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Staff report now.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, Jordan Hodges, City Preservation Planner for the record. This is 611 14th Street. As you can see, items 4 and 5, 611 14th and 1401 Henrietta, these are similar design as the prior 2 were of a similar design. But I will note that 1401 Henrietta is a corner lot with kind of busy frontage on that corner. So this is the current parcel. Again, this one's been vacant since 2001.
Jordan, are we doing both 611 14th Street and 1401 Henrietta together?
No.
Okay, sorry.
No, thank you for that. So the site plan is similar to that of what we've seen so far. Again, forward-facing parking area and then the 6-foot-high privacy fence around the sides and rear. Okay, so when staff started reviewing this project, when you look at the front, it has some Mission Revival detailing. It's got a kind of single-story flat roof with a parapet, masonry construction, an integral front porch under the primary roof line, these kind of decorative masonry blocks, vertically oriented hung windows. I would say just by kind of, looking at it from the front, if it was a Mission Revival building, the parapet is a little high. They were typically pretty short, pretty cropped, sometimes with crenellations. But then when you kind of turn the side of the building, you see that the porch is kind of its separate flat roof structure, and it serves as kind of a screen to hide kind of a hip roof structure behind it. And that's just very atypical for the district to have that kind of massing and height at the front and weight at the front of these otherwise pretty simple houses. And as you can see, the back of it is a hip, and then that ridge line just dies into that front porch parapet. So again, with the next one being a corner lot, we had some concerns about how that would be perceived from the street. So when you look at these structures, when you look at over on the left, right? So if you're looking at it from the parapet, you could kind of finesse it into being a Mission Revival building, which would be compatible with the district. If you look at the shape of the structure and roof line behind the parapet, it's kind of the shape of a frame vernacular building. Now in that kind of gable-ended frame vernacular. Now in discussions with one of the applicants, he didn't really know about altering the entire roof line or getting that engineered to be a flat roof. And so we didn't really push on that. So we went with the frame vernacular side. And kind of what we arrived at, very similar to the first application this evening, was to kind of do the frame vernacular detailing, but on a body that was kind of already existing, highlighted in blue. So again, it would be the condition to do either cementitious board or stucco lap siding, decorative louvered gable vents, a low slope shingle porch roof. We did make the recommendation that there be some exposed rafter tails in this that were not drawn in here, but we could work with the applicant on that. But still, the general fenestration arrangement that was on the existing structure. Now, I will say that this is a little bit fat of a house for our typical frame vernacular buildings, massing-wise. So one of the I'll go through this first. But here's the surrounding street context. Number one is kind of very similar to the same shape, but I believe that is a multifamily. And then a couple commercial buildings and the churches on this street. Again, the same criteria, staff recommendations. So the staff recommendations that are included are to arrive at the frame vernacular building. I will say that we did come up with an alternative that massing-wise would be compatible. We didn't show this to the applicant, but it would be more simple for them. And that would be to essentially leave the structure as is, and instead of having the porch, exceed in height with that parapet roof, it would basically just turn into a hip roof in the front, which is also what's already on the back. So this is kind of and again, I wasn't able to talk to Josh about this, but I assume he'd probably be pretty open. Yeah. The other one's quite a bit of changes. So I guess that would be up for you all to decide, but I can certainly answer any questions you have.
Excellent, great. Questions to staff? Or the applicant?
So the flat roof discussion that would be necessary for a mission style kind of died a little bit. And this is the same sort of discussion that I assume will be had for the next project as well.
This is, again, the same, so it's the same project.
But then that house, just the main difference is not on a corner lot.
That house is on the corner lot. This one's not.
Oh, okay.
So same houses, the next one's on that corner lot. So this one is integral, or not integral, but it is mid-block. So, you know, maybe if it was approved as requested, you might not see that big massing difference. But, you know, staff just had concerns kind of about the height of that, what that would feel like on the block. The top of beam here for the wall is 8 feet, whereas the parapet wall, I think, extends up to close to 15. So it's a little top heavy for single-story structures in the neighborhood.
So there was no an option, let's say, to drop a little bit from the porch and make the whole house with a parapet, with a flat roof.
So that was discussed, but I think, so I jumped into this very late, and the cake was kind of baked here. So we were talking, I mean, most of these changes on all 3 projects are very cosmetic, right? I mean, some shift windows, they do different, you know, kind of ornamentation. But if you look here, so the, over on the left, you wouldn't be able to drop that parapet without hiding that ridge line behind it, right? And instead of, if there's not an option to re-engineer the entire roof to do a flat roof with a parapet system, it kind of leads you to either the gable or bringing the hip to the front.
Can you go back to the pictures?
Of the surrounding?
Yeah.
Yep.
Or with the frame, actually with the floor, with the frame vernacular and the mission
yes.
style on it, yeah. And this is for either you or the applicant. So on the bottom right, because you did mention this little squat, was it considered onerous to try to differentiate the porch the way that bottom right is done?
To do the kind of stacked gable?
Yeah.
I don't think we talked about it in our meeting. I wouldn't be able to answer that. Do you understand the question?
Yes.
No, we didn't discuss that.
Okay.
The most simple change for us would be not this one, the other one, to keep some of the arches that were into the plan, and I think would make it look different compared to the other models that we presented. So this would be a nice simple change for us. Yeah. To maintain a different appearance.
And your cost basis will be more friendly this way.
And Mr. Hodges, and what style would you call this one?
What was it? The Augusta? Yeah, the Augusta style. You know, it would just fall into the category of, you know, a post-war masonry vernacular building. I mean, we're still producing, I know vernacular is kind of a worn-out term once you kind of pass the 30s here, right? I mean, we were using architects for everything at that point, but, you know, they're just kind of simple, economical, little bit of ornamentation, and it's just not uncommon for the surroundings.
Okay. Is there any additional treatment that you would propose on the sides of the house?
Sure, so we can go over let me see what the conditions were. So we did have that the applicant shall, condition number 6, the applicant shall add 1 additional window per side elevation. Okay, so these 10 are for this, right? And then if you decide to go with this option, It would include staff conditions 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 10, and then add this number 11.
Excellent.
Jordan, question for this one on the screen. It's kind of a play off of what Caleb said with incorporating, the stucco. Could we do a coin on the front, really elevate just the porch look?
On the column fronts or on the body front, like back here?
On the column fronts.
Um,
If we're doing
yeah.
a lot of stucco work, perhaps that might be an elevated look.
I mean, I wouldn't imagine that would be too I mean, I think it could be done, yeah.
Or maybe some sort of detail. I would say this scheme would be more, actually, I think this scheme would be more successful as a gable as well.
So just bring that, well, so, and that's, so we were already at a gable configuration here, so perhaps that could just come forward, and then you could do a little, masonry rondelle or something, some kind of
and
vent.
then maybe like just playing around. If you go to the wood frame vernacular, so I could also see where this because what I think you can see my leading question is like I feel like there needs to be just in general combination of gables and hips. The compromise on this one could be you keep the hip, but you add a gablet vent on the top.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can kind of keep all of the trusses as they are and just overframe a gablet vent. And then that kind of add some visual interest to this one.
Right.
But yeah, the other one, I think if you do a gable, well, I mean, all right, like I think we need to work with spacing on the arches a little bit as well, but just make them a little bit fatter. But then you can have opportunity to just add subtle details that would help, like a little vent or maybe even
Caleb, when you said make them fatter, do you mean the
corner
the
columns?
span? Oh, got it.
Yeah, like
got it.
so. Yeah, I would almost respace them, but yeah, those are spindly corners compared to the middle. Because sometimes you do see this done in wood framing, but all the columns are equal, like clad forward.
Right.
So,
Right.
my guts are instead of copying exactly what they would have done is just make the corners a little bit beefier. But also then you can maybe add some banding detail at the top of the gable or like what we saw. You don't have to do it, but like even at the 421 28th Street, that was a gable end, like stuccoed house that had like little scallops or something. But that could make this one kind of do more
Pop a little bit, yeah.
The intention, like the masonry look that we were going for or that the applicant was trying to go for with the mission style.
Right.
Anyways, I feel like you could probably borrow from one from each, but I guess then effectively to make a motion, we have to pick a lane.
We are not in executive
Well,
session yet.
Well, actually, since we're kind of going in a lot of directions here, the applicant, you felt more comfortable with at least this direction? So maybe we can make a motion based on this direction, at least for this case. And maybe we can mix and match on the next one. But let's make a motion on this case. We'll move into executive, and then we can figure out the conditions.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, no. So I don't think that there is anybody in the public that will speak on this case, so we move to executive session. So I guess that we are moving, towards this option, right? So what are the additional detailing that we would like to add?
Can I suggest that we basically recommend approval with staff's conditions and that they work with staff to, clarify the thickness of this, that, or any decorative, whatever, like, let them handle it at the staff level. I think they've done an excellent job making things look good, and I don't think we need to, like,
I think that's a very good idea.
That's the direction I think we're headed. I'm fully on board with that.
Now, we want to provide the direction to go with a gable, or we want them to work with staff?
I think on this one, we should work with this scheme with a gable, at least for this case, because maybe we can go back to the other one if we want to maintain the hip roof. But if we like, at least then we give them options. I'm trying to look for the condition. How many conditions were there? Out at like 11?
There were 10.
Well, so if we go with this one, it's 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, and 11.
Yeah. So there were, I think,
There were, wait, no, so one.
so originally there were 10
okay,
to get to the frame vernacular. On this one, you would only approve conditions 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, plus 11.
Okay, so then that one is like, okay, because then I want to think about that 11. All right, so then I guess condition 11 would be for the applicant to move forward with staff to develop the masonry gable end facade with the 3-arch option and additional details such as banding or gable vents, and I'll say or gable vents. Does that make sense to everybody here?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, sorry, we got like 5 things open. This is case number.
Is that something the applicant's going to be able to work with? Those conditions? Okay.
Fair enough. This is.
And you're gonna mention that this is the alternative design option.
Yeah. This is 2564, okay.
Yes.
I move that the Historic Preservation Board approve application 2564 for new construction as in accordance with standards 9 and 10 is set forth in section 94-49 of the city's zoning and land development regulations. The motion is based on the testimony presented along with the application submitted in the staff report, which constitute competent substantial evidence. In addition, the approval of this request is made conditional upon the following restrictions, stipulations, and/or safeguards that I move are necessary to ensure compliance with the purpose and intent of the Historic Preservation Ordinance, the historic preservation element of the comprehensive plan of the City of West Palm Beach, the Secretary of the Interior standards for her rehabilitation, specifically standards 9 to 10, and additional compatibility criteria set forth in section 94-49 of the city's zoning and land development regulations, specifically section 94-222H, the Coleman Park overlay architectural standards. The conditions include the following in the staff reports: conditions 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, and additional condition 11, that the applicant move forward with staff to develop the alternate alternative masonry gable end option with 3 arches, and provide additional detailing such as banding and/or gable vents.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? No. Motion carries. Case approved. So now we move to case 25-65, 1401 Henrietta Avenue.
Again, Jordan Hodges for the record. So here on our map, so we're at 1401 Henrietta. So you're going to view this driving north on Henrietta, and right next to it is going to be one of those post-war kind of 60s vibe with the hip roof. This one did have a great little frame vernacular on it. Again, demolished seemingly en masse in 2001. Very similar arrangement. It does have a little bit of a larger side setback due to its frontage on Henrietta. But again, one vehicle parking up front and a 6-foot high wood privacy fence. And again, this is basically kind of copy and paste moving here forward. So we're kind of at the same situation. These are the surrounding structures, combination of side gables, hip roofs, and then the church structure. That'd be it of staff's presentation.
Thank you. Questions to staff or applicant, or staff? Or applicant, yes.
Jordan, can you show the side elevation from Henrietta?
Sorry, I don't think I have that, Mr. Murphy. It would be this west elevation. It is marked up, but it would be this west elevation just in reverse. I can try to find it on the applicant's presentation.
I got it. With the additional, I was wondering if you had done your embellishments on a side elevation.
For the frame vernacular,
Yeah.
I have not. But it would just, it'd be a
continuation.
Yeah.
With additional
fenestration. Yeah, and with extra windows. Yeah.
So is there anything different that we want to do since the site elevation is a street face, right?
Maybe in this case, the frame vernacular would be more appropriate.
Yeah, so this demolished one is where that came from.
Yeah, I'm more inclined to lean. That's executive session.
We are not. Yeah.
So going back to since if this might be the direction we're headed, what my question would be, would the applicant consider it onerous if we did the double gable like on that previous example?
to mirror the same exact plans that we just got approved on the last one.
Can we move to the
Oh.
mic so we are on
Yeah,
air?
if you think it'd be better that we approve the other, basically do monkey see, monkey do with.
Yeah, if that's possible that we're able to do that, because we would probably have to make dramatic changes to our truss drawings to meet the stacked gable.
Well, they would be pretty minimal. Actually, the spans would get smaller, but the orientation would be very similar.
Okay.
Because the spans would be almost, in a lot of ways, the gables are a simpler truss construction than hips because you don't have any weird hip sets. It's a much, much simpler span. And so in this case, you would just have, instead of having whatever, a 20-foot span, an 18-foot span, same truss configurations.
Okay.
So I'm not your truss manufacturer, and I know it's all that, but it would just be changing the truss package from having, 20 of one truss to 18 of one truss and 2 of a smaller truss of the same configuration.
Okay. I would still maybe see if it's possible, if we can do the same plan as the last one. This is something that my director of construction has already reviewed and said is possible for us to do. Unfortunately, he's not able to be here today, so I don't know if that is possible for the board to approve.
I don't see why not. Part of this is the dialogue, just about where we think, and obviously working with you to see what's possible.
Yes, sir.
And it always is easier for us to duplicate, so if we have 2 of the same, just with our labor and training volunteers to help build a lot of these different components of the home, 2 houses that are the same in the same area make that a little bit easier for us.
Okay. All right, well, that's for me, that's good enough feedback.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So now we move to executive session. So I think that we hear from the applicant that they prefer to have a replicated, house from the previous one, right? So.
And I think that you can, instead of having to go through all the conditions, if you're going to adopt the same as the last one, you can refer to that in your motion.
Oh,
thank you.
What's the name of the,
So I could say, I move to approve case whatever and conditions as per case.
Based on, case, blah, 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 house,
25.
Same conditions, same design.
65. So this is 25.
2565.
Approving per conditions of 2564.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you need to go through the motion.
Conditions and design, yeah.
Sorry. So, okay. So I move that Historic Preservation Board approve application number 2565 for new constructions in accordance with standards 9 and 10 as set forth in section 94-49 of the city's zoning and land development regulations. The motion is based on the testimony presented along with the application submitted and the staff report, which constitute competent substantial evidence. In addition, the approval of this request is made conditional upon the following restrictions, stipulations, and/or safeguards that I move are necessary to ensure compliance with the purpose and intent of the Historic Preservation Ordinance, the historic preservation element of the comprehensive plan of the city of West Palm Beach. The Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation, specifically standards 9 and 10, and additional compatibility criteria set forth in section 94-49 of the city's zoning and land development regulations, specifically criteria section 94-222 Coleman Park overlay, and the criteria as set forth and approved in case 25-64 as conditions.
Do you have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? No. Motion carries. Projects approved. So before we adjourn, I want to congratulate Jordan. Great debut. And job, Anthony, also. And last but not the least, Ana Maria. Excellent job, Anna. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Can I,
Yeah.
did I catch you? Did I cut that eye off?
Yeah.
I did. Okay, great. So we did want to just run something by everyone. Next month's meeting is October 28th, regularly scheduled. We sent out that email regarding November and December board dates. It didn't appear that we were going to have a quorum for either. So we were looking at potential other dates. And I was able to speak with Kristen earlier, and we discussed the possibility of doing a unified single meeting for November and December that would fall on December 9th at 4:30. It would be a Tuesday, and we just wanted to, we don't have to set that today, but I just want everybody to heads up.
Merge November to December into one meeting?
Yeah, we would have an earlier submittal deadline requirement for December projects. But working and planning projects die off in November, December. So we would probably have it would be a unified meeting and then maybe a few extra projects in January.
Good for me.
So everyone's currently available for that?
Yeah. I don't know, I still need to know more about my availability in December, but
Sure.
I would assume that should be okay.
Okay, great. All right, well, we'll finish doing our homework and then we'll send out a email. Great.
Thank you.
I want to congratulate the board for getting through a really, really long agenda by 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
That was the goal.
And speaking of long, you all have the longest motions of any board I have ever.
Can you work with Melissa to shorten them because they're they're clumsy and.
I think that yes, we're working on a whole bunch of stuff, so we will work on that.
Okay, so I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes. Great. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Okay, meeting adjourned.